somewhere in your chest, somewhere in your chest, using all that's left, somewhere in your chest, all your sweetheart hidden in, oh, oh.
behind yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will feel free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Let's go. Let's make some noise this morning. It's gonna be cool. Chat looks healthy. Looks like we got a lot going on out there. Looks like we got some people showing up in the house. We've got Mr. Boulay first in today. K2 must have slept in this morning, or he's on the road. We've got Damien, who's going to go play with his swords. That's awesome. 13 is in the house. Good to see you, sir. The Vengeful Truthfer, TVT, is in the house. Mikey Balls has made it. Tiki Tack has made it. We're going to have some fun today. It's been an interesting few hours since the last show. And I actually, if you were looking for last night's show, I had to private it. I have to cut out a little section. And then I will, I'll be resetting it to public so anybody can see it. But for now, It is offline. Last night's video is offline. It was a great time. Hey, Imperious, I see you down there. It was a great time last night with Donovan, although that was very short. He had some technical issues, and then he had to go catch a plane. Hope to have him back maybe next week, maybe the week after. We'll see how things shake out. Tomorrow night we have Rob Knorr coming on the show. We're going to talk all things debating tomorrow. Other than that, I did after I finished up last night. I intended to go to bed. I had every honest, serious, intent to go to bed like a good human that I am, but I didn't. I went over and I hung out on Speakeasy's channel. It was interesting because Speakeasy and I kind of got into it a little bit. I'm not really sure that there was anything really there. I think he'd been online a long time or something. But if he's upset with me, he'll talk to me about it and we'll figure it out. Or we won't. Either way, it's all good. I'm easy to work with for the most part. Especially as long as I got my cappuccino, or I guess it's technically a latte, and gonna have a great time. We're gonna have a great show today, guys. Mostly we're gonna talk about some money. New years, new starts, new everything. I don't do year in reviews. Last year was last year. This year's coming up. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Good to see you in the chat. By the way, it came to my attention about a month or so ago that some of the ladies that come into the chat have felt unnecessarily uncomfortable in the chat. And of course, I don't always pay attention to the chat. I try. I'm really not the best at it. Everyone's welcome here, even the guys that start trouble. I've said that many, many times. The only time the mods will tell you that the only time I want anybody gone after is if they're misbehaving in such a way that I find bad. But I definitely want all of the ladies to feel welcome here, regardless of their opinions. Honestly, that can be fine. I know that Imperious, I understand you're actually not really not part of the problem. I think we've got the problems kind of solved. But I wanted to make sure that we do. We definitely, as manosphere as this show tends to be, without me intending it to be that way. I don't really. I don't want people to get attacked. Frank Black, no, Josie. Actually, you can't make Josie feel uncomfortable. She'll just harass you right back. I miss Josie being in the chat. I don't know. I think she's really busy with something. I kind of miss her being out there in the chat, giving me crap. But anyway, it just came to my attention. I want to make sure that all of the ladies know that they're welcome. And even though I say some very anti-feminist things most of the time, it is what it is. All right. That's out of the way. Now I got to do the grift speech, guys. This channel operates based on my wallet. And, at some point, the show's going to have to start making at least a positive rate of return. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it does need to carry its own weight. If you have it within you and you can afford it, please consider donating to the channel. Becoming a member is a great way. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. For the first level, we have a couple of different levels, and would really, it really helps out keep the lights on around here, and makes it so that I can justify spending the time out here on the show that I do. So there's it's not Angry Casper's fault, Imperious, at all. He might be part of the the dynamic, but I don't think it's I don't think it's his fault. I don't know if that's going to trigger Mikey, but we'll go ahead and I'll show it on the screen. $9.99 comes in from Mikey Ball. Open your wallets. Open your wallets. Didn't trigger the TTS though. I'm sorry. I need to change that to $9.99. I keep forgetting. Somebody needs to remind me. Mr. Boulay gave it the office. I love that line. That's a great line. Hey, Emperor, go for Papa Palpatine is in the house. What's up, guys? It is good. It's yummy. So, at the start of a new year, a lot of people look around at their job, at their circumstance, and they say, what am I going to do to make my life better in this coming year? And that's a great question. And, at this point, I'm buying a business. I may buy 2 businesses. I have meetings every day. I went from absolutely not busy at all. We'll get to that, Imperious. We'll get to it. I went from basically not really doing much of anything every day to being pretty freaking busy most of the day. And, one of the things, I've talked about, how to buy a business, and we'll continue to do that. But let's just say that you've got that entrepreneurial spirit, and but you don't have the money, you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the business acumen right out of the gate to go out and quit your job and start a business. Well, a lot of people like that. And when I opened my first business that failed miserably, I did it when I was really young, and I didn't know I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I didn't want to work for anybody. I had a job, paid the bills, got a little bit of money ahead. I went down, signed a lease on a place. I moved my tools in. I had a couple of customers. After about a year and a half, I kind of worked myself out of work because I was catering to a small crowd. It was, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And so that's a mistake that you can make super easily. Looking back on it, it was a great experience to fail that poorly, but that much, or grandly, I guess you would say. I went back to work for other people, improved my life. And then at that point I had determined the trajectory that I wanted my life to take. And I figured out how I was going to have to get there. And that looks differently for every person. So I'm not going to use my example too much. I'm not going to lean on that very much. But what I will say is that if you're going to, if you have a job and you can start it part-time, right? Yeah, Damien's perfect. That's perfect, man. Start it for $0 in a public park, and you just kind of build off of it, right? And if I were to tell younger me how to go into business for himself and not fail, I would say start pretty small and build and just build and continue to build and wait until that right moment to move ahead, right? Most people expand too quickly, take on too much work too quickly. And they start looking at that pie in the sky and they reach for it and they fall flat on their fucking face. So to help you in that, the first thing is start off as a home-based business is a very good way to start. If you 3D print stuff, in a spare bedroom or on your desk or on your kitchen table. There are a lot of businesses that have started literally at the kitchen table with long, sometimes endless nights of work to get to where they needed to be. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This is all, it's all people know this, right? But people know it, but they don't act on it, right? And they always think, well, it can't work for me. I want it to, but it won't work for me for whatever reason, right? It's, I tried to help a buddy of mine. So I got a buddy of mine. He's a pretty good guy. Talked about him a little bit before on this show. And he's very, very good, honestly, at finding deals in a specific market. And I said, hey, I will front you money. If you find a deal, I'll front you money. You go buy these items, do whatever we need to do to get them ready for sale, and we'll split the money. We'll make money. We'll split the money. If we lose money, it's I'll cover it, and we'll do better next time. And he really didn't put any energy into it, so I kind of stopped pushing on that, right? It does. My younger brother, who's just watched me being an entrepreneur my whole life, he plays disc golf. He started 3D printing disc golf accessories. He sells them out of a local disc golf shop. He just went down and said, hey, I've got 10 of these. Would you mind putting them on your counter and selling them? And they sold them. And then they asked for more. So he's got kind of a little tabletop business, makes him a few $100 a month. And, and that's great. He may never get bigger than that. But honestly, a few $100 extra a month is what he needs, right? So there's a lot of things. Obviously, you want to do it right. If you're going to do a home-based business, you want to do like a single. 13 does the disc golf. All right. So if you look at it as start small, do what you know, do it really, really fucking well, and just build on that. Maybe it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe you fail. Maybe you make 100 of something that nobody wants to buy, but you learn. Business plans do help, Lindsay Smith. Absolutely, they do. But your plan can't be like I was. It's interesting that because I was talking to a friend of mine, and his son is just about old enough to start working, and so they were, obviously just like I asked my son, what do you want to do for your first job, and my son gave me a bunch of weird stuff, but this kid, his whole idea of what he's going to do for a living is he's going to do he's going to be a gaming streamer. That's his whole idea. He's going to play video games, stream the video games, and that's going to be what he does for a living. I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's actually possible. I don't stream video games, but it seems like a low percentage opportunity. Maybe it's not. I don't know. 13 played most of the places in Nashville a while back, from Seven Oaks to Cedars 11. Yeah, my brother plays all those. Mm-hmm. He plays the one at off of Old Hickory Road a lot. You stream video games for 6 years and you're glad that you didn't do that anymore? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works. Thank you, Cheryl. I made it myself. It's a latte, espresso. My wife got an espresso machine, so I make my own coffee. I don't go to Starbucks anymore. I didn't go to Starbucks that much anyway, but I definitely don't now. But at any rate, I think that we go with high percentage plans, right? And generically, Yeah, so Old Hickory Boulevard, there's a park there right off of 24 and Old Hickory. Um, it's I forget the name of the park, but they have a model airplane airstrip there. I've been there a few times, and they have a disc golf course, and my brother plays there quite a bit. Oh, you got paid by an organization to do it. Okay, so you were like a grinder or something, whatever they call it. Okay. Hmm. Ticky tack, I can see that 100%. So, well, that's cool. I mean, that's good work if you can get it, I guess. But like, I just think that I know I know a guy who started. There's a company called Bowers Tactical in Colorado, and he literally started off of his tabletop. He would go over to Magpul and buy bulk Magpul items, and then he was selling it online and literally out of his garage on um, on in his spare time, just on the internet. Like he just had a permanent ad on Craigslist, I think, or something like some equivalent of that, maybe Arms List. And he had a website, and you could order through the website, or you could come by his house and pick up. And he moved from that into a retail location. He actually grew that, until it became he had the retail operation, and he grew that from just doing part sales, accessories for firearms, to actually ammunition, and then firearms themselves. And he ended up with a pretty nice operation, but it took years. And um, it's an interesting path. And I'm staying away from what I did. I'm not talking about going out and being doing mechanic work in your spare time, or doing. But if you have a skill, if you have a marketable skill like plumbing or HVAC, um, carpentry, maybe you like to work with wood. I know one of my neighbors growing up. He had a woodworking business in his garage where he made and sold furniture, and he would just make five of a desk, or three chairs all alike, or whatever. And he would um actually made money doing it. So um it it's I think that starting your own business is something that anyone can do, and anyone should do it. Even if you fail, just to understand what it's like to run a business, because then you won't look at small business the same way again, and you will actually understand why your paycheck is the way it is. So um yeah. So looks like we got a lot of comment. The chat is going crazy on the gameplay stuff, so that's interesting. So, but yeah, we got a lot of so starting a home-based business, or a garage-based business, or OPC Don builds houses for a living. Yeah, yeah, that's true, and that's actually leads me. OPC Don actually leads me into my next subject: is you go to work for somebody and you learn everything they know. And carpentry is a great example. You go out, you build houses. You start out as a guy toting lumber from side of the one side of the work site to the other. You move from there to maybe you're a carpenter. And then maybe you just take a summer and learn go learn how to be an electrician, whatever, or at least watch electricians, talk to them. And that's how my buddy is a contractor, and that's how he That's exactly how he got to where he is today. He has his own contracting business, and makes really good money doing it now. Mostly he does remodels. So, painting is great. House painting. I have a buddy of mine who did that on the side too. He was great at it. He was awesome. So I think that, any kind of home-based business, any kind of business where you are able to generate some income should do it. And moreover, any skill that you can learn that you can later in life become, that can become a business is worth it as well. Shazzy Bear, good to see you in the chat. Mikey Ball has a home-based business. Awesome. Good deal. Yeah, painting's interesting, I think. But we're not adding I don't think we're going to add a painter into our business profile. So we're buying a commercial business that does one thing, and we're going to add several other things like HVAC and maybe something else to that, so that it's kind of not a one-stop shop, but once you get a contract, it makes it easier to get contracts because they can contract with you for several things. Hey, Glare 1%er, good to see you in the chat. But there's a lot of hidden cost of running a business as well, and I think it's kind of, you got to talk about that. So baked goods, Cheryl, I don't know enough about that. I've always wondered about that. So Don Parker is correct. Sometimes it's just as simple as identifying a problem and figuring out a solution. I guess my point here is you want to keep your capital expense low. Let's just talk about why I'm talking in this way about it. If you are working somewhere and you have a decent salary, and I'm saying it's not, you're not retiring on it, but it's a good salary, and you make enough money to get by on every single month, right? Maybe even you're putting some back. Well, that's great. It doesn't hurt to have a little cushion. It doesn't hurt to have something you can fall back on if you get downsized, your company does something stupid, and you go out of business. A lot of people think that people lose their jobs because, well, they just fucked up. But the reality is a lot of people lose their jobs because why? Because somebody else fucked up and the company goes out of business. You could wake up, and people have done this. As a matter of fact, one of the companies that I almost bought a couple of years ago, which I did, I say almost, I was offered the company several times to buy it. I refused. That company literally didn't tell their employees until the day they shut the doors that they were going out of business. Those guys were basically called and told just to stay home because they weren't opening and they were closing for good. And that could happen to you. It is dirty, Mike Ball. It is absolutely dirty. But they did it, and and it was bad management, right? They were literally out of money. They couldn't pay anybody anymore. That's it. And I was just reading a prospectus for a company that they're better now, but they actually had laid off a bunch of people. Then they came back, they finished out as much as they could, and they literally just went to everybody on a Friday and said, if you want to work the next 2 weeks, that's fine, but we can't pay you past the next 2 weeks. You should probably be looking for a job. And we're not talking about a couple of people. We're talking about 100, 120 people out of a job. That was a construction company that did that. So, I mean, having a cushion against being downsized or suddenly becoming unemployed and having something that you can turn to, in my opinion, is just a survival technique. It's important to learn. It is important to understand where you fall if things go wrong. If things go wrong, you should know, hey, this is how we're going to handle this, right? And yeah. Sorry, guys. My calendar, like I mentioned, my calendar is absolutely nuts right now. It's going crazy over here because we're scheduling. We got a lot of lawyers and accountants and people to meet with, and it's just driving me fucking nuts. But it'll be fine. Remember that I hate women. Absolutely, absolutely. Your backup plan is to have you pimping out Angry Casper. That might work. Man's, that might work for you. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that you really, I think it really might, it might really be the ultimate survival, preparation you can have is to have a way that if you lose your job tomorrow, you can survive for the 3 to 6 months average that it takes for people to find a new job. Don Parker says, I lost a job that way. I worked for a food service foam extrusion company for 10 plus years, and out of the blue, the higher ups in corporate made the decision to close his facility at 30 days notice. Yeah, wow. That's fucking rough, man. So I mean, it's tough. So having some kind of home-based business, having some kind of thing that you do that is not dependent upon something else happening, right? And by that I mean, like, being a golf instructor on the side. Okay, that's a good start, but more than but what happens in the winter when nobody's golfing, right? You're kind of SOL. Same thing, if you are reffing kids' football games. Well, what happens when football season ends if your job happens in then, right? So that extra couple of bucks you're picking up doing that is probably worth it, obviously, but you're better off having a way to make ends meet that is solely dependent on the effort you put out. And it could be, like my mom did accounting. My mom got not a CPA. She got some kind of like low level accounting certification so that she could do people's taxes, basically. And that's what she did. And then she got, at some point, she became a dialysis nurse. And so she would work for a service that sent her around to check people who were on dialysis. And so she had, she always had that little cushion there that if she got laid off, if their company went out of business, if whatever happened, she could at least get by. I'm not saying you're going to be eating steak every night, but you can at least get by. That's all I'm saying. I think it's very important to be able to do that. And I know that we've come to term it the gig economy, but I don't really term it the gig economy. I think it's just, I think you just need to have that safety net in your life, something that you do. And again, it can be a hobby. If you're a woodworker, make wood burn plaques. I actually know a guy who's a welder, and he makes those like wire cowboys leaning against the barn and the wrought iron, like women in the old style bonnets. And he makes those that people put in their yard, and he makes them by the dozens, and people buy them. And he doesn't even actually sell them direct anymore. He's got some people that do like flea markets and stuff like that, and he'll sell 10 or 15 at a time to everybody, or to these vendors, and they go out to all of these crafts fairs and whatnot and sell them. And he doesn't he doesn't sell them direct anymore. But he's a welder by trade, so it's just what he does. So yeah. Side jobs, landscaping, anything you can do to make a buck. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? And I think that it's a survival tool for you to have a small business. Also, it's great for your taxes. It allows you to do a lot of creative things with your taxes and with your earnings. I mean, I think it's worthwhile. I think that you need to absolutely make that part of your, make it part of your life, make it part of your plan. And again, you don't have to go out and spend. I'm not saying go out and invest $100,000 in a t-shirt press and a automatic embroidery machine or any of that nonsense. I'm just saying, just have a backup plan. Have something that you do. Have some, have a skill, something you sell. Maybe, go out and get certified as a home inspector. There's always work for home inspectors, And I'm going to move off of that topic a little bit because it's it's kind of can only cover the same ground so many times. But I really feel like that this is an important thing, and I think that a lot of people have come to rely a lot of times on the idea that there will be a safety net for them in some form of like digital something that doesn't exist. Wrongful Rage sends in $9.99. In my case, holidays is big business. The rest of the year, it's much slower. Jewelry makers. I know some of those guys. Most of our work is done while the need is low, but pays off later when the need is high. That's true. That's true. And you got wedding season, spring and all of that. So, yeah, I get that. That's interesting. Wrongful Rage. That's a very interesting thing. Do you see our acrimonious relations with China affecting small business significantly? Not yet. I think it will. I do think it will because a lot of small businesses buy a lot of their buy a lot of materials from China at a lower cost than what they can buy them in the US for, and tooling and things like that. Like nobody buys a t-shirt press made in the United States. They just don't do it. They buy a Chinese made t-shirt press and they make t-shirts on their kitchen table. That's what they do. They don't do that. So I think to some degree, Lindsay, yeah, I think there is. But I don't know that, but yeah, I think you have to understand globally, I don't think most people really truly understand the relation that we currently have with China. And that is, China doesn't really need the U.S. or even care to do business with us. Obviously they're a seriously capitalistic society with a communist leadership. It's a very interesting dichotomy, but they have a massive market in their own country and they can sell to other countries to some degree. And I think we keep seeing less and less imports from China. I mean, I think partially I think it's great because I think it encourages American small business to step up and make the changes necessary to be competitive on a world market, which is not something that U.S. companies are used to doing. And I think that it's at the same time, I think it's bad because there are companies that rely on offshore manufacturing to be able to turn a profit. So it's a complex issue. Interestingly enough, so about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, one of the things that we were going to do is to do a private label um, engine component line from China, and I learned a lot about doing business in China at that point. It's very interesting. Lindsay, what if we fixed our own abandoned industrial buildings? That's a great question. How do I answer this without being a complete fucking asshole? I don't think there's a way. Excuse me if I'm a complete fucking asshole, but here's the thing. For a very long time, Americans have fed themselves a line of bullshit that we make the best products in the world at everything. And the reality is that we make very good products and we are still the leader in manufacturing in the world. However, the reality is that our process of manufacturing is basic. You have two levels. You have fucking high tech as hell making great profits for their company and fucking archaic. And we really don't have a lot in the middle. And so we would have to change that, right? So that we would actually compete on in a global economy. Now we have a lot of problems that we've kind of allowed to have. Our politicians have kind of allowed to happen. The fact that tariffs, ETF, into the same object. I'll finish it. It didn't. You guys couldn't hear it. I will re-trigger. It sounded fine on mine end. Let's just take care of that right now. Let me re-trigger it.
Mr. Boulay and the Department of Numismatics donated $10, super chat. Turn your hobby into a side hustle, that's my plans. Buy and sell precious metals. I also 3D print. My printer can extrude 2 separate color filaments into.
And the last part of that, 2 color filaments into the same object. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was weird that it didn't work. That it didn't fire the first time. I heard it fine. I don't know. Weird. Very interesting. All right. Well, good deal. So I think the interesting thing that you have to Lindsay, going back to your question, the U.S. was sold a bill of goods back in the 70s that we didn't need to, that it was a waste of Americans' time and skill to do factory work, that we were going to do the higher level precision manufacturing, and we would let other countries do the high volume, low skill manufacturing. And part of the reason that these countries could abuse us, and there's no other word for it, is the lack of tariffs on our side. It's a very interesting dynamic because you can look back through the 60s and 70s when we went from being the world powerhouse manufacturer, everything was made in USA. You would go to Russia and find a tractor and it would be a John Deere fucking tractor. You would go to any country in the world and the best equipment, the best outfitted people always had USA. And then starting with Japan put massive tariffs on anything that was brought in to Japan, especially cars. Cars was the biggest thing. Okay. And old people like myself will remember that you could buy a Japanese car in this country at a very, very low price, but our car, for Chevrolet to sell a car in Japan, was horrible. First of all, Japan made sure that there wasn't really a way to license a right-hand or a left-hand drive car in their right-hand drive culture. That was the first thing. So if you had a Jeep, if you wanted to send a Jeep to Japan, it would have to be converted from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. Are you going to do that for a few hundred sales or a few thousand sales? Maybe. I don't know. Jeep didn't, although the last time I looked, there were some Cherokees over there. But so they also, the market in Japan was just different. We made huge cars. They needed small cars. They were a very small place. So, but the biggest problem was the tariffs. China did the same thing. Anything that we send into China is taxed really high. Really high. Again, that's why you don't see Jeeps, Chevys, Fords. You don't see those in China unless they're made in China. They do the same thing with the German car companies. They're not picking on just us. It's just the way it is. The exact same thing with the German cars. Germany didn't want US made cars or goods of any kind, really. And so they put these tariffs in place so that it costs us a lot of money to send things there. And when the euro was working the right way, you could get a pretty sweet deal on a Mercedes, right? And so, but the U.S. never really did that. We did a little bit with the German cars, but it wasn't near it honestly wasn't near what the what we went through in Japan. And I'm picking on cars, but it was a lot of things. I mean, a lot of U.S. goods were literally taxed at a much higher level in other countries, but not taxed. Their goods were not taxed high here. So it wasn't what we would consider fair trade. And it's been that way since the 70s, really. Now, why? I have no fucking clue. I have no idea why we would give the Japanese car companies such free license to sell their wares here, and our cars were taxed at such a high rate there. I don't know what the fucking thought process was, but our government was, and I'm sure there was a lot of corruption in place. But that also went across the board, guys. It went, I mean, I'm picking on cars. I'm picking on cars, but it was everything. I mean, literally everything. That a US made computer, if you try and sell a US made computer in Japan, it's going to cost you 4 times as much as what they sell a computer here for. And so when people talk about tariffs and how they won't work, well, they're full of shit because they've been working for decades just against us. They've been working against us, right? And so it's just a very interesting dynamic. I see a lot of response. Let me kind of look at chat here for a second. Let's see. Yeah, because we're capitalists. Yep. Toyota does it the right way. Their preferred treatment in the U.S. is because they build a lot of their cars here. I mean, Nissan was the first to do that. Toyota is coattailing Nissan. Nissan actually was the first to really build cars here. But now Nissan, Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, they all have factories here. But Nissan was the first. Take a Toyota or Subaru over any American vehicle. Well, definitely not Subaru. They're horrible. And I don't really like Toyotas that much personally. That's just my personal thing. But yeah, at the time, I don't know. I don't understand why we allowed Japan to have such high tariffs on our goods, and yet we didn't tariff their goods at all. Jess White has sent in Australian $5. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Same to you, Jess White. Good to see you out in the chat. Yeah. Toyota is not the best. I really don't like Toyota. I really don't like them. But at any rate, I don't know why we allowed it. Whatever the reasoning was, it happened. But that was the same thing across the board. It wasn't just, I'm picking on cars because it's an easy, clear example. But the same thing happened with computers. The same thing happened with machine parts. The same thing happened with tractors. The same thing happened with everything else. And what that did is it moved a lot of the manufacturing from durable goods, right, into this higher level. And this was the line of goods that everyone was sold, was that American manufacturing, it was beneath us to do these low skill, high volume jobs. We needed to be doing the highly skilled, technical, low volume work, and that's what we needed to be doing, and we just wanted to let all these other countries do that. And what that has led us to is this fucked up mess that we're in now, where batteries aren't even made here anymore hardly, and it literally, there are companies right now fighting tooth and nail to make batteries here in the US. Why are we why is it that China make almost all the batteries for EVs in the world? Why is that? It's crazy. And so, and part of the problem is again, America was sold this bill of goods that high volume, low skill work was beneath all of us, and we should just send it offshore, and we have, and so we're paying for it now, and we're going to continue paying for it. So I guess the thing is that if you're going to find a skill or a job, get a skill that is something that is low volume, highly skilled. Lindsay Smith, and we pollute our soils and landfills with their batteries. Well, in fairness, the entire world has a problem dealing with batteries, and Africa is probably the worst offender. India, maybe China to some degree, but the but at any rate, I don't want to get into this specific argument, Lindsay. There's a lot to unpack there. There really is. Suffice it to say that the way that the government has handled the battery industry for decades has been terrible, and it's not going to get me better. No, Lindsay, it's totally cool. I'm just going. We'll just go down another path. The battery argument is a very long one because it's very important. Don't skip your comment. What comment did you? Where are not men $1 billion into? I don't know. I don't know. Imperious. That's I have no idea. Yeah. At any rate, wow, that was interesting. So let's talk about. Let's shift gears. Let's get into some of the into some of the political stuff. I do like that discussion, Lindsay, and we will get into it deeper. It's just kind of a long discussion. You don't make me uncomfortable, Imperious. I just don't want to talk about it. You predicted the New Orleans attack. I mean, yeah, I guess that's one way of doing it. The only reasonable explanation I can see for making such a foolish economic policy is the culture in the U.S. overall began to see blue collar work as less and not viable. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I agree with that. And it was a horrible, horrible decision. It's had decades of ramifications, and one of them is that we've propped up these other economies, and which has cost us a lot of money. It's it's just it's just a wrong way to do it, and we knew it was wrong. What's interesting is we all knew it was wrong, and yet nobody did a damn thing about it. So it's very interesting. Let's talk about the New Orleans attack really quickly, guys, or not really quickly, but let's just run through this. I had expected to have somebody up on the deck by now, but I don't know what's going on. It's just me today, so that's fine. If you would like to come up and jabber with me a little bit and talk, I will be glad to have you up. Imperious, don't bother. I'm not going to let you spurg out about Donovan without just without it being it at least needs to be a nighttime show. But anyway, no, Lindsay, I don't want Imperious up. Yeah. Are we not men needed to go on a journey? That's funny. They're taking away car rights after New Orleans tax. If it was a pew pew, they'd want to. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting thing because we knew that this could happen because it happened in New York not long ago. New York City had a guy in a U-Haul truck just plaster a bunch of people, and I saw Imperious was talking about the FBI has already decided that he was a lone wolf attacker, which I have no idea how they determined that. Sure, Jess. Get one of the mods to get you the link. I'm pretty sure Mr. Boulay has it. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I think I'm trying really hard not to be. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying not to be too hard a conspiracy theorist, but it's very interesting the details of this. You know, guys from Texas, car full of guns and improvised explosive. I believe it was improvised explosive. I could be wrong about that. And you know, it's interesting. Mister in the house. What's up, my bro? 6 Iranians were beheaded in Syria for drug smuggling. Why is this important? Because our own government wants Syria to be the next Ukraine money pit in war with Iran. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they were IEDs. Yes, thank you. So they're literally. It's interesting that the FBI has come out so quickly and said that he's a lone wolf. I don't believe that he is. The details are very interesting to me because it doesn't seem like, it seems like it's a very specific stereotype that is being implicated. And that's basically kind of it. So he is the lone wolf working for the government. It could be. I mean, look, I got to be honest with you. I don't doubt that the guy is working for the government. I wouldn't take that bet, right? Like I'm not gonna take that bet. Yeah, Angel Berber says Grid One, which makes no sense how the FBI came to such a conclusion when already at this early stage it has been revealed that both the New Orleans and Vegas served at the same base. Now, that's interesting. Yeah, Glare 1%, bro. Are you a 1%er? Are you, like, for real? The ones who sell the fear sell the cure. Absolutely, every single fucking time they do. So, same base, same time. That's true. They may not have been buddies, but they probably knew each other. Mikey Balls, he is cool, man. He must be one of the really good ones. Mikey Ball, you can come up if you like. Come on up. We'll jabber news. I know you covered this shit this morning. And what's interesting is the Vegas one is the Vegas bombing, or whatever you want to call it, is interesting because I wouldn't have considered that a bombing. It really looks like good for you, Mikey Ball. The guy in the Tesla is very interesting. It seems like a really inept attempt. You know what I mean? Like, really, it seems very inept. Refusing the name the stereotypical shooter. No, I'm not refusing. Not at all. I have no problem naming the stereotypical shooter. The lone wolf, the deeply dark, disturbed person. I don't know. I don't have the information, Lindsay, to share. I'm not refusing the name because I don't have a name, I don't think. But Mr. Angel Berber and Mr. may have the name. I don't know. I would think so. Oh, the stereotype, yeah. See, the thing is, though, I just don't buy this stereo. I don't buy the lone wolf on this. Yeah, disenfranchised foreigner. Yeah, very interesting. Lindsay, you can come up if you like. Come on up and we'll talk. It'll save you the trouble of typing. While we're waiting on people to make their way to the stage, the whole Tesla thing is very interesting to me. Ticky tack, I was kind of going to end up there. When have we ever got the truth from the FBI? They're always making up stories. That's accurate. And the thing is that we may never know. Oh, you let me, you don't have to join Discord. What I can do is I can have Mr. Boulay, if you're listening, go ahead and throw the link in. The link is only for Lindsay. I'm not letting anybody else up that I've not already named off. But Lindsay, if you want to come up, we'll get you the link through. We'll just post it in the chat, and you can just click it. There it is, right there. Just click that, and then once let him know, and he'll erase that. So. Din Jabbar. That's an interesting name. American ex-military type, Afghan vet, indoctrinated by ISIS. All right. That's interesting, Mr. Mister. I hadn't read that. I'll have to find it. I also find it ironic that the Cybertruck did not blow up more, I guess. Yeah, the Vegas shooting is especially suspect because you can listen and there is no way that that's a bump stock. No way. Mikey Ball, summarize it's a coincidence, believers. 2 vehicle attacks on the same day within hours of each other. Both vehicles rented via Turo. Both suspects, U.S. veterans. Did they both serve in Afghanistan? That would be like the icing on the cake. Both. Oh yeah, okay. I just had to scroll. Okay, here we go. Both suspects served at the same base. That's right. It's a coincidence. Half the army goes through that base, though. Yeah. I don't mind being up here by myself, Jess. I don't mind at all. How did he get that window out? I don't know. You know what, Imperious? If you leave Donovan out of the conversation, you're welcome to join. That's fine. And don't just kind of let's keep it to the daytime theme show. Man, that is good. So today, while we're waiting, what I did is I made a double espresso with a shot of caramel. With a shot of caramel flavor syrup or whatever they call it, and then raw sugar with steamed milk, and it is fucking perfect. Donovan was on last night, 13. He's a cool dude. Yeah. The Vegas shooting was very interesting. Lindsay, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
This is your first time up on the panel here.
Well, yeah, usually I go live, but hope the L's good enough. I just remember that you said you don't give anyone the time of day if they just have like a static picture.
No,
So,
that's incorrect. In a debate
oh,
or on
okay.
a panel debate, if somebody is a static picture or they hide their face with a mask or whatever, I go at them extra hard because I consider it you're just not being in good faith because I can't read your facial expressions. I can't see if you actually mean what you're saying. And look, I have a pretty stoic countenance, and I'll put on my cool mirrored glass here. I'll do it right now. I'll change into my cool debate bro glasses.
That's still
And
hiding. Still
and
hiding.
and then I can sit here and then it makes it tougher, but
Hmm.
you can still see me. You can still see if I'm getting if you can get a feeling for if I am getting heated or whatever. And it's just to me it's just um,
I
it's
think it's kind of
rude.
oh,
It's
okay.
rude. It's
Well, it's a
rude.
good psychological tool because body language does matter.
Yeah, body
It can be
language.
used against you a lot in a debate, actually.
Yeah, and I am effective enough that a lot of people think I'm really angry or that I really mean like I'm really out to hurt their feelings when I'm literally this is all playing. I mean, in a debate, it's all playing a part, right? Um, but yeah, I went after Millionaire Bachelor super hard because and I can't tell you how many times I told him that he was a pussy for not showing his face. Just the way it is.
You know how
Uh,
I know he's wealthy? Not just because he said so, because he has sparkles on his wall.
mm, I don't have sparkles.
That extra touch. You're not rich until you have little sparkles
I
everywhere.
don't have sparkles.
Mm.
Tiki Tack says Las Vegas does have a lot of ranges with automatic rifles for rent. I don't find it strange a successful gambler can find one for personal use unregistered. So here's my thought process here, Tiki Tack. And I've watched the footage. I had friends of mine live on the ground there for that concert, and without going too far down this path, because first of all, I'm not going to stay here all day, but without going too far down the path, there's no way the cyclic rate of fire of a bump stock is sustained like we heard. That only comes from a belt fed. So let me put it to you this way. If you pull a trigger on an AR-15 with a 30 round mag or even a 60 round mag, you have 3 seconds total, maybe. And that's if you're really good. If you just pin the trigger back, you're done in a second and a half. Like, that's it. It's 800 rounds a minute. I think is a cyclic rate of fire, maybe 600. Yeah, the Mandalay Bay PSYOP. Yeah. So there's no way that was it just the math doesn't. I can literally just solve this with math. There's no AR-15 that's going to have the cyclic rate of fire, the sound profile, and the sustained burst without being a belt fed. That's just why we have belt feds. And I wish Grumple Stillskin was in the chat because he would be like shaking his head, like doing the Marine thing. But he's not out there, and it's just the way it is. Like I don't care what anyone tries to sell me on it. I don't care what they're trying to talk about, the lone wolf, lone actor kind of thing, moving from one floor to the next, from one side of this building to the next. Shoot, and the pile of brass and the lack of brass in the room that he was in. Yeah, right. Glare 1% is correct. The pictures they released are so comical. They're literally wrong. I mean, it's just, you look at it, if you know anything about guns,
But it's not about logic. It's an emotional
yeah, it's
reaction.
just an emotional hook. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
The
Lindsay,
math,
yeah.
it doesn't matter if the math is going to add up. It's the principle.
Right. Yeah.
I'm mad and disenfranchised, and I'm going to show you.
Right. You can literally, so that's right. So I say, somebody says, well, it was a guy with a bump stock who went fucking nuts and just shot a bunch of people. And I go, no, that's not really accurate, because he fired, we timed that burst from the tower at like 3 or 4 seconds. You can't do that with an AR-15, even with a 60 round drum. It doesn't matter. You can't do it. And
It's a kamikaze.
it kind of has to be a belt fed. And they're like, no. Okay, well, the sound profile also says belt fed. Right. And, I mean, and I'm like, it's just math, right? Like X number of rounds per minute times however many seconds equals X number of rounds. We can see the time. We know how long it takes. It's math. We can solve this with math, which I hate, but we can do it. It's very interesting how all my life I thought that math wasn't that important until I got out of high school. And once I got kind of out of high school and into my working environment, math is awesome. It's because everything is just math. It's just math. Whatever you want to, even emotions to some degree can be summarized in a mathematical equation. It's very interesting to me.
It is. You can understand the cosmos in math.
Yeah. All right. So Lindsay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Don't introduce yourself to the whopping 26, 28 people in here right now. We have more, but they wandered off. They wander in, they wander out.
It's because of me. I bored them. I'm nothing extremely, no one extremely important. I started a small business like you were talking about, so I found that really interesting. I ended up getting interested in that because I was taking somebody's business course for them because he worked and he was too busy. And that's not exactly an ethical thing, but it's true. And I helped him out with that and with his papers. And to do that, I had to read his textbook, which got me into more interested in business. And then I found out that that's the fastest and greatest way to make money here in America is to start your own business. And it doesn't have to be something fantastic. It can be, like you said before, like golf discs or whatever specialty it is. And I found that it was rewarding. Right now, I'm waiting for an operation for my eye. I don't see that well. That's why my typing is that well. So I'm kind of in a hiatus right now. But normally I would be fully functioning in business and be involved in that kind of thing. So this is why you'll find me a lot more on YouTube and YouTube chats. And I'm interested in geopolitics, psychology, sociology, just about everything we talk about has an interesting element, but it doesn't mean it doesn't mean I can speak wisely on all of them, like guns.
What did you think of my explanation of the Chinese market?
Well, you started out with it's complicated, and then you branched off into 3 or 4 different reasons why it's complicated.
Because it's complicated.
Yeah, and I started to see how it really is, and everything's tied up in a tree full of knots. Everything.
Yeah.
It's not like you can say, let's cure poverty or cure hunger rather. It's, you got to really examine the issue and then you find out every single time that it's multivariate, multifaceted, and that people are hanging on to it for some reason. It has some kind of utility. And to get to the bottom of that, there's no way that you can branch out in some kind of tree and be like, oh, it's obvious. We got to fix this or fix that. So I think that's why people are disenfranchised actually a lot, bringing it back to the shooter because they feel hopeless.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think the Las Vegas shooter was set up. I think he was, I think he was probably a troubled man. I'm not really.
Wasn't he having problems with his marriage in the first place too?
Yeah, he was. Well, I know it's been a while, so I don't remember the specifics of his personal, because I never considered him that to be. There wasn't a lot factual, right, that I could pin to him. Like, how did he? They were explaining how he. They never were able to fully explain how he got the guns into the hotel. They weren't ever able to explain how he removed the glass from the hotel windows. They gave an explanation for it, but it wasn't a very good one. So I never really focused on him and his life and because I realized really early on that this dude was a patsy. So who cares? Whatever they tell me, it's probably manufactured anyway. So,
well, you would have to be somewhat psychologically disabled, don't you think, to shoot up a room full of people over something?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Then what keeps you and I from doing it?
Well, I have a sense of morality, but I promise you that I fully full disclosure, if I felt it was morally right for me to do so, I'd smoke a room full of people without even.
I'm kind of surprised at that. I just think of it as one of those things that's like a bad fantasy. You have a bad day, you get cut off, and so you're thinking, God, I wish I could run these people over, as a passing thought, not seriously. So I would disagree and think the person had some kind of mental issues, at least to the point where they couldn't cope with their anger.
Well, anger doesn't have any. Anger is actually, I think anger is the least of the problems. Because most of it, when you look at these guys that drove vehicles, they were cold, calculating, aiming at people. Angry people don't do that, really. Right? Angry people flail about, make asses of themselves. But
that's a really good question, because we want to prototype this person, characterize them so that we can understand them better and keep this from happening again.
Sure.
I don't think we can. I don't think there's like a one simple explanation for people like Ted Kaczynski and this guy that's, running people over by the parade. But one thing I do know is that I got this from the mouth of a person who works with people like Ted Bundy and people that are known for being sociopathic and pathological. And as crazy as you and I would think somebody is, and we think that they're too screwed up for everyday living to function. She said, guess what? Those people know. She talks to them and helps them with psychological issues. She said, those people know exactly what they're doing. She said,
I agree.
You can say they are crazy, or you can get technical and list the antisocial and whatever, go to the DSM and thumb through it. Or you can just say they're dysfunctional and they're disturbed, but above and beyond all else, they know right from wrong. It's that they don't care, and they can manipulate.
I disagree with that. So here's the thing: is like Ted Bundy absolutely felt like he was right to do what he did. And this comes down. This is one of the reasons why I don't have a real problem understanding these people, because I can think very coldly and very mechanically about things. And this is why it's very hard for women especially, but also a lot of men who are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Emotional. They want to tie an emotion to it. There has to be an emotion, but the actuality, the truth is that there doesn't have to be an emotion at all. You can just feel that, as I said, if I felt it was morally right for me to do so, a room full of people would be no issue.
But I'm not saying that emotions are highly involved in this. My claim is that they know what they're doing. You can't say, "Oh, Ted Bundy was crazy. He didn't know what he was doing."
Oh no, he was. He was
the guy in the New Orleans, scenario didn't know what he was doing. He's got to be forgiven, and you know, he's going to take a psychological test and it'd be determined too crazy to testify. No.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think crazy is a kind of a term and an expression and a position that we use and take far too much. Again, because we want to assign an emotional value to it, and the reality is, I don't believe there is such a thing. I believe that it is, and that's it. There doesn't need to be a reason why. There doesn't need to be beyond. He felt like that's what he needed to do, or she
I'm not
felt like that
disagreeing
was
with
her
you.
only option.
Yeah,
And
I mean, what is a sociopath? Besides making a good CEO to fire and hire people because he doesn't get all or she doesn't get all caught up in feelings.
Yeah.
Those people can only be dangerous when they just have a, I don't know, I guess it's kind of an impetuous thing, you know. It's not based on feeling as much necessarily as it is, hey, I have this thought on my head in my
Mhm.
head and I'm going to act on it. So
Yeah, I
I'm
think.
wondering,
Go ahead.
well, that's this New Orleans guy and the Brooklyn guy. I'm wondering if how much they had to plan for this, and how much of it was just I'm going to do it, because you have to get IEDs and a sawed-off shotgun or whatever they have, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some level of preparation for sure, right? It has to be. But did they do it, or were they provided it, right? I mean, this goes back to like the Ruby Ridge debacle, right? Where the FBI tried to paint, and I can't think of his name. I'm drawing a complete blank, but they tried to paint that fellow as a crazy survivalist felon, and they actually tried very hard to get him to make a sawed-off shotgun, and I think he refused to do it. And then they were going to buy like a homemade suppressor or something like. I'd have to go back and review all the facts again. It's been decades since I really thought about it. But,
Still accountable, meticulously planned, still accountable.
by the federal
Emotions are
government, they tried and tried and tried to entrap this guy. He didn't really play along, and then they killed his wife, and I think one of his kids. I have to look it up again, but it was the federal government that did all of that, that provided the shotgun that they wanted him to cut down. They provided all of this stuff that they wanted done to build a case against him. And then when it failed, they went after him anyway and held him under siege at his compound, which was just his home, for a couple of days, I think. And they killed his wife.
Would you
And
say that was an exceptional case?
no, I think that's becoming far too normal. I think our federal government is not on our side at all. And I think that they're on their side. And we just happen to we can coexist until we get in their way, and then they have a problem with it. Which is why I would say, I don't know. I think it's very interesting that the FBI has already called it a lone wolf case. When we don't know that. There's no way you can know that. Unless you just want it to be that way. You think McVeigh was a patsy, Naakis? I don't know. He was legit crazy, but he did. There are some questions there. I agree with you, but he was legit like Unabomber fan, all of that nonsense. So,
how does someone become so radicalized unless they're absolutely open to, nonsense in the first place, or illogical thinking?
See, I think that I think you're falling into a logic trap here, that you're taking the government's side as being the side of right, and the offender side as being the side of wrong. And I'm saying I don't know, because I don't believe that the FBI and the other federal agencies always act in the best interest of society. Matter of
needed
fact,
to.
I know let me rephrase. I know that they do not act in the best interest of society. I mean, look what they tried to do to Trump twice. So I can't argue their side of the case successfully because I don't believe anything they say.
But that was a straw man to me, though, because I agree with you that the government isn't on our side. I view it as like
Maybe I
fight.
misunderstood what you were saying. Can you run me back by it?
Yeah, I'm not in support of the government and not saying that we should trust the government or making any such claim. I was, you gave me a solid example, a concrete example of how the government is not on the side and maybe
Mhm.
be helping or aiding or I don't know, giving ideas to the enemies.
Mhm.
But I thought this particular case that you mentioned was an exceptional case and not the norm, where the
Right,
government
right.
had a
Yeah, okay.
bigger hand in it
Yeah,
than
yeah.
is
I
usual. But what do I know? We
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. We don't know
Uh,
what happened with Watergate. We only know what we hear.
exactly. Yeah. And it so there was a point in time where the government did not despite the attempted rewriting of history, there was a time when our government operated in a lot of transparency. First of all, it was really simple, so kind of had to. Um, but and it was really small, not a lot of players.
Well, let me
But the
ask you.
go
Well,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead. No, I interrupted you.
That's okay. So, but the more layers that we've added has been detrimental. And where it really fell apart was in the 1920s when, despite massive objection, the FBI was established as a response to criminal elements crossing state lines and being able to disappear into the mist because I mean there were no driver's licenses, there were no photo IDs, there's no way to track anyone. So the FBI came about because of that, and they did wage a very effective war again. And as a matter of fact, I have a whole book on it of against the gangster element of the 20s and 30s. And it should have ended there, except that in World War II happened. And World War II reinvented the FBI as instead of a police agency, they became for all intent and purposes, a spy agency looking for um, all sorts of clandestine activity, whether it was real or not really important. And Hoover took over, and he formed the FBI. And I'm picking on the FBI. The CIA is kind of the same way, but I'm picking on the FBI right now. I'm not limiting it I'm not limiting the scope here, right? I'm just saying that I'm picking on the FBI. And Hoover turned it into this uber intelligence agency, and it was not a lie that he had something on everyone in Washington, that he stayed head of his agency because he literally had blackmail material on every important player in Washington. And so that has set the standard, to be honest, until today, from then until now.
It's become like TMZ instead of
Oh,
a professional occupation.
I mean, I can see the parallel. I don't think it's all encompassing, but sure, absolutely, I can see the parallel.
Yeah.
And it's
People
I think
thought
it's go ahead.
it's hard. I keep cutting you off because there's a little bit of a lag
It's
here.
a little bit of lag. Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind.
Um, well, I think people thought Orwell was before his time and that he was going to predict the future.
Mhm.
It was what he wrote about, with mind control stuff and lack of choices and being overpowered by the government really has existed since, for a long, long time.
Mhm.
But what's what's become worse, though, is our impression of government and the president.
Mm.
We no longer, as a collective, we finally woke up and nobody really trusts our government anymore. And that's including Trump. I know you're a Trump fan, so I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how things used to be so clear. We used to go to the Library of Congress and be able to look up cases and find out what really happened, kind of thing. But do you see Trump fully telling truths?
Well, I can't. So I think Trump is as honest as he can be. I think there are obviously things that he cannot be honest about.
Such as?
I don't think he can be honest about his plans. I think that I think that the way that he talks and what he does are two different things. And I think that most people probably should have realized that during the first presidency. And a lot of what he says tends to be misdirection. He will say, "We're going to do this," and so the left gets all up in arms and go to fight and gird their loins to fight whatever he talked about, and he pivots and does something completely different. And that's an effective technique when you're fighting a machine, a political machine, right? And so, to some degree, I never take what Trump says at face value, because to me, it's like listening to a CEO in a meeting tell me what his plans for the year are.
Then how can you conscionably vote for such a person? For example, he on his platform, he takes a lead on. He says immigration. I'm going to handle that. We're going to do this, or this is how we're going to send second gens back. No anchor babies. This kind of thing. So if you can't believe what he's saying, how do you know what he's really going to do?
Well, I do believe he's going to be. Well, I'm going to take him at his word that he will be tough on immigration, like he was. I'm basically, I reference his first term. He was tough on immigration. Did the Dems argue, obviously, that he was not as tough as Obama? I don't think that's a fair comparison, and a lot of people have made that comparison. I don't know that I need to run through it, but
statistically, Obama sent more.
Yeah.
Illegal immigrants back.
However, statistically, a lot of those people were sent back. And because of Obama's open door policy, it was a rotating door where once they left, they just came right back the next day. And so the numbers, I think, are not truly in Obama's favor. And we see that in the murder of that poor lady in San Francisco who was just sitting on a bench and was shot in the head by somebody who had been deported 3 times. So I feel like that intellectual honesty gets us a long way. So that's what I believe in, right? So I believe that intellectually, being intellectually honest, I don't take Trump at his word per se, right? Like if he says, I'm going to build a train and load it full of illegals and send them back to Mexico, I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure that he thinks he can do that, but I think that's a retort. I think that's a lot of rhetoric to illustrate that I'm taking this issue serious. What I hear when he says that, what I hear is, I take this seriously, and we're going to deport people, and however we need to do it, right? Like because that would be the same as me saying I'm going to fly to Miami tomorrow and kick somebody's ass, right? Am I really going to fly to Miami tomorrow? Probably not. But am I going to get in my car and drive and get there on Thursday? Probably. Right. So, it's the rhetoric. I just don't get caught up in the rhetoric of Trump. And as Angel Berber accurately points out, that argument can be made for any politician. So
sure.
And so I'm not overly concerned with that. The problem is that Trump is a Democrat. He's a conservative Democrat. We used to have those back in the day. Now we do again, but he's still a centrist or conservative, however you want to look at it, Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's not a conservative, which is fine because at this moment, that's as far right as we can get. There's no way that the right can actually elect an actual Republican in the current society. So I will happily take what I can get, because the alternative is an order of magnitude worse. Do I believe that Trump is going to tear the FBI apart? Yeah, I think he is. I can't see any reason why he wouldn't, because very obviously they've gone after him twice. They have lied so many times.
Is that a big factor in why you would vote for Trump? Why you personally voted for him? Because you don't trust the CIA and FBI?
Imperious, my race team name was Grid One Motorsport.
Imperious, I thought you were going to get up here. You want to still
He's
get
busy.
up here?
He's talking to somebody now. But so I mean, so I have no problem voting for Trump over any Democrat, right? Period. So if the if you want to, I mean, do I want him to be better? Yeah, I think people should. I want people to be better. I want a more conservative. I want a more conservative government. I want smaller government. I really do want a president that's going to walk in day one and get rid of all the 3-letter agencies.
The thing is, who would be that person? No name, no particular name.
I mean,
goes.
So here's where we come with what I want and what reality is. Reality is that there's no president that's going to do that at this point,
Right.
because they would literally it would probably create a revolt, because you're talking about 80,000 to 100,000 jobs per agency that are gone. So you're talking about 1 million people out of work with the stroke of a pen. I mean,
and a lot of people think it's too radicalized, and now we have this LGBTQRS thing going on too. I don't know.
You're starting to see the picture, right?
Yeah.
So if we went in and said, okay, no more ATF, no more FBI, no more CIA, NSA, you're cool, you can stay, but we're putting you back under the authority of the president, and you're going to report to the president at all times, and you have to report to Congress as well. So and we're just going to lock you down. DOD, we're shrinking you. All of these different, the Department of Education, you're gone. We don't need you anymore. We haven't needed you for 30 years. Don't know why you're still.
Are you advocating for solely homeschooling or what?
No, I believe the states do a better job of managing schools than the federal government does. I'm a states' rights guy, right? I believe that I believe that it's very poor form to rely on the federal government for much of anything. So it's just the way it is.
Roosevelt too, and he's the one that created the dole.
Yeah,
But
Roosevelt was so weird. He confiscated gold. He made it illegal to own gold.
that is pretty weird.
It is pretty weird, right? So he was a bad president.
I
don't know why people remember him in any high regard. He was a horrible president. He goaded us into World War II. He literally wanted to go into World War II, which was terrible for everybody concerned. We lost thousands upon thousands of young men. We wasted tons and tons of raw material. And why?
You could say the same with Vietnam, and the same with Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and the
right.
same with the wars in Gaza.
Right. I agree. And right. And why are we involving ourselves in foreign wars? Nobody can answer that. They'll always say something like, well, it's for oil. Well, we have oil here. Fuck those guys.
True. I think really most things boil down to money, and that's trite but true, because there's so much utility in war, and it makes so much money that it's profitable, and for some reason it makes sense. In many ways, it doesn't.
Yeah,
But
somebody
so,
profits. You just said the magic words. The reason we go to war is because somebody profits. Okay? And
many
other
people.
than that, we don't go to war. Roosevelt wanted to get us out of the Depression, and he convinced himself that the only way we were going to get out of the Depression was to go to war. He was wrong, but he did it anyway. And our entire country suffered because of it. Now, would Hitler have won without us intervening? Maybe. He was already losing control of France. The communists were coming after him. It would have been awesome to watch Hitler and Stalin slug it out.
You are a bit of a sociopath.
Great. That would have made the world such a better place, right? I mean, just think about if one of Hitler's assassins had killed Stalin in 1936. Think about how great the world would be.
Well, I think
10,000 Russians would not have died.
Yeah, in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
I think Roosevelt thought he was doing a good favor, the world a favor, when he created a dependence on the government, but it backfired.
He loved Stalin. He thought Stalin was great. He loved communism. He thought, as a matter of fact, he was basically trying to reinvent his whole social security scam is based on a communist model. Same with the IRS. The IRS needs to go the fuck away. Like, seriously, why are we paying federal income tax? That's the dumbest thing ever. Why are we doing that? And without that, states like California wouldn't exist without the IRS. It just wouldn't. It'd be a desert, just like it was before everybody started putting all their money there. It would just be a fucking desert. And so, I mean, our world is shaped the way it is because people made it that way. And people will continue to shape the world. And saying that it can't happen, well, Trump can't do this. Well, we don't know because nobody thought Roosevelt was going to be able to implement socialism either. Nobody
But
thought.
I have a quote from him specifically, and guess what? I don't have access to it, of course. But he did specifically create the dole so that he would give people a helping hand. And he said the way to use this incorrectly is to assume that it's going to keep flowing, that it's a permanent thing. This is only to help you, and it's to help you help yourself kind of thing. But I fear that this will create some kind of unhealthy dependency on the government, and he did not want that to happen. I guess I just don't think he's as evil as you do, but I see what you're saying too.
It's hard to believe that he's not evil, right?
Yeah. Do you think all leaders get labeled with that? I think they do. Look at Putin. Some people admire him because he instills fear in everyone. And to some people, fear is the only effective thing. And so he's an excellent ruler. Or he's, much as effective as Hitler, and he had to rule the same way. And other people think he's the devil. There's always that dichotomy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think Roosevelt was a very good guy.
I know. I got the drift.
I mean, I think that a lot of people like to think that he's a good guy, but he's not a good guy.
Yeah. I don't know because I was only born at a certain time and I never experienced Roosevelt. So somebody else's rendition of him or a book's rendition of him is going to sound probably a lot better or different than actuality.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to get too far off into the weeds on Roosevelt, but the when we go back and look at all of this, it just continues to reaffirm everything is that the government's too big, it's too bloated. States are better. States' rights should always trump federal government. Federal government should not be what it is today. It was never meant to be. And currently, our government really seems to exist strictly to keep us in war. And look, I don't really have a particular problem with war, right? I don't really, if we need to go, to war, let's go to war. But this constant bullshit fighting where we get Americans killed and we kill other people for no achievable objective is fucked up and wrong.
Isn't it just imperialist objectives over and over and over again?
No, I would say it's more like, good question. I would say it's more like we're always looking for a way to feed the war machine. The military industrial complex. We need a place to put young men. And look, I don't actually disagree with the idea that we need to constantly have troops in contact somewhere in little skirmishes, right? If we could go to some of these troubled third world countries and help them out, sure. But we don't need to be spending $80 billion.
That's our priority. That's where all of our taxes go, or the majority.
Yeah.
So I think you're right on that
And
one.
what really pisses me off is that our government seems absolutely set on giving money away to other countries. And a lot of those countries hate us. And if they don't hate us, they're at least apathetic and they just don't care. When was the last time Ukraine has given us money? Like that's my question when everybody says, well, we really need to help Ukraine. We really need to help, who the fuck ever. And I'm like, well, when was the last time they paid us?
Well, there's a lot of wordsmithing that goes on too in defense of supporting the Ukraine, because people will say, well, we're not giving them money. We're just giving them the old machinery that we have.
We gave, so that when people tell you that, that's a lie. We gave them, somebody's going to correct me, I believe it was $370 million or $1 billion and another 100 and something, total of 560 million or billion, whatever it was. I think it was, I don't know if it was 500 billion. It was a big number in aid. And only the small part of it, only that like 100, it can't be 100 million. 100 million barely buys a tank these days. So it's got to be 100 billion. Whatever it was, we gave it to them, and only a small part of it was our old munitions that we gave them because we didn't need it anymore.
I don't think that truth is palpable to many people, so they deny it and they say, everything's wordsmithed and
100%.
softened.
Absolutely 100%. There's a lot of wordsmithing. I'm sorry?
Yes. To bring it around a little bit, I was thinking of the vertical and versus horizontal business structure that we're talking about at the beginning.
Mister's on it. So it's $250 billion in tax dollars, 200 plus in military reserve assets, 100 billion without congressional approval. Total is close to 600 billion.
There you go. And we were all led to believe that we were just giving old machinery that they had to, fix before they could even use, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and everybody's like, I stand with Ukraine. Well, why are you standing with a villain who came to power in a coup, who has refused to hold legitimate elections? What the fuck? Like, why are you standing with this idiot? Because a Ukrainian guy that is works on your plumbing or drives your school bus or whatever? Well, great. They're great people. But They're led by a madman that is conniving and was installed in a CIA-led coup. Like, why are we supporting that? We are typically the country that is anti-coup. Like, we don't want people to come to power in coup, right?
I think we're supporting their right to be sovereign and their right to not
Why?
be
They
dependent.
don't have a right to be sovereign, though.
Why not?
Why do they? Why would you think they do?
Because they import and export on their own, like independently,
Right, but
and they work as a country in and of themselves
right.
with a GDP.
But it's not immoral for somebody to go over and say, "Hey, I like what you got. I'm stronger than you, and I'm going to take it." Because that's happened throughout history. So why is it that
immoral.
all of a sudden, why is it all of a sudden we have a problem with that? We are not the world police. It's okay if Russia can. All right, fair point. I'll backtrack just a little bit. Why didn't we get that upset over Ukraine? I mean, Crimea.
Must be political interests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we've been all over the world at some time or another.
I know.
When something is in Africa, etc., aid, and why did we arbitrarily choose? That's a good question. Why do we decide to intervene sometimes and sometimes not? Maybe Ukrainians are more like Americans than Russians are. I don't know. I really don't know.
Right. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's everybody's.
We all have the right to their own ports, the right to their own country.
Nobody has any rights they can't enforce over the barrel of a gun.
Yeah, I see. Well, I'm thinking, God, you're cold, and I get sociopathic vibes from you. But I'm
sorry. What vibes?
Sociopathic vibes.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
Leave emotion out of it, but it becomes different when it's your son fighting.
But it's the truth, right? I'm only dealing in truisms. I'm only dealing in the fact that they don't have a right, morally or otherwise, that they can't enforce over the barrel of a gun. But to your point, Putin has every right to invade them. Putin actually said, "Hey, I don't want to invade you guys. I don't want to go to war with you guys. Just leave me alone and let me have access to the one year-round deep water port that Russia can still access. Just let me just stay out of my way and let me access this port." When Trump was in office, Zelensky said, "Yep, no problem. We'll honor that." Biden gets into office. Zelensky says, "Nope, you know what? Not only are we not going to honor it, we're going to either charge you a tax for everything you unload off of your own ships that come through our port, and we're going to control access to the port so that you can only, you don't have total free access." Okay. Now, both of those things are pretty terrible. But then he even reneged on that and said, "No, you just can't. No, we're just going to shut it off. Can't have access to the port." Putin literally told him, "If you do this," we all remember the newspaper headlines, "If you do this, we will be at war."
Yeah, I remember him shooting down one of their planes.
Zelensky could have backed down and said, "Okay, let's come back to the table. Let's talk about it." There's no reason for him to do what he did. None. Zero.
But you don't see us, for example, maybe this is a rotten parallel. I hope not. But Canada's right by us. What if we tried to do that to Canada and said, we have plenty of oil ourselves, but we want yours too. We want access to it, and we want it at a discount. Do we have the right to do that?
Canada invaded us, right?
Yeah, they burned down 2 of our White Houses.
Yeah, right. So I would think that it's about fucking time we took Canada. Come down and burn down my White House, motherfucker. It's been a long time coming. I feel no sympathy for the Canadians though, because they're the reason we have the term war crimes. So
Damn.
yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
That they invaded us? Yes.
No, that Canada is the reason that there is such a thing as war crimes.
That would stand to make sense, but no, I didn't think about it offhand.
Yeah, so they in World War II, the Canadian Army had a standing policy of no prisoners ever. They killed literally every enemy combatant they met. Even if they surrendered, even if they were unarmed, even if they were wounded, they killed every single one. So I have no sympathy for Canada.
How are we, the United States, going to be effective when we follow those kind of rules too? When we say,
but we
don't go to Afghanistan, but don't shoot unless shot at. Okay, those are our rules, and no kids, no.
But no, our rules of engagement are really clear. I'm not talking about their rules of engagement. I mean that on not just on a battlefield, we take tons of prisoners. That's why we don't have, why in general, it's very odd for the U.S. to be charged. I mean, we get accused of war crimes all the time, but to actually have it be seen all the way through and actually have happened, that's a whole different thing. But Canada actually had a policy, it's a matter of history, that they took no prisoners at all, ever. And they didn't even have to necessarily shoot them. They wouldn't give starving enemy combatants food. They would walk right by them.
By that same token, you hate Japan and all the other countries too, then.
I don't hate anybody.
Okay, what word do you want to use?
I don't have any feeling one way or the other.
Well,
Japan's
no alliances.
Japan's just a country, right? Japan is not a person that I can be angry at. Japan, I can say, well, I don't like their leadership. I don't like this. I don't like that. But this is actually an interesting point. I think that again, once again, I come back to it's interesting how emotional people want to get about these things. When I'm not angry with Ukraine, I'm angry with Zelensky. If I have any anger, which I really don't, I'm just solving it's just a simple problem. He did X, he deserves Y. Simple.
We just talked about at the beginning. If you want to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Sure.
We just talked at the beginning. We were arguing about the morality, the immorality, and the feelings, and the logic, and all of these.
Wait, is this true? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just saw something in chat. I gotta scroll.
Oh, go for it, because I forgot my train of thought.
I didn't mean to do that. Mr. says magically, all of a sudden, Zelensky agreed to give Russia the Donbass. That's the port. Funny how Trump is getting in now. They're okay with the peace deal. Very interesting.
The interesting word you used was simple. I don't think it's that cut and dry.
Why not?
And well, for example, the Japanese can be considered allies, but in the past they had concentration camps where they tortured. Our soldiers, and then you can't.
People throw that word ally around a lot. Look, Japan's not our ally.
We're not in combat with one another.
They're a business associate. We occasionally collaborate.
What would you call us? A business associate? Yeah, that's not really a
we're not friends. You as an American cannot own property in Japan without jumping through a bunch of hoops. Matter of fact, you can't even stay there any length of time.
Same with Canada. You have to stay there for 6 years before you can be considered a citizen and have to work there. Something ridiculous like that.
Right. So why do you? So if all of our friends treat us as enemies, why are we treating them as friends?
You really think Canada? Do you think Canada and Mexico are enemies? Because those are our closest countrymen.
You think they're?
Not,
You think they're friends?
do I think what?
Do you think they're friends?
I would say
Do you-
Canada, not Mexico, because Canada, we're sort of like an annoying brother too, but there's no political word for that. But I think we would have each other's backs in a war. So yes, in
Well,
Mexico,
okay. Okay. All right. I like that. I like the enthusiasm. Where the fuck has Canada been in Afghanistan?
look at their army.
Yeah, look at it. Why
They didn't
haven't
send
they
very
sent
much.
people over? Why don't they send troops?
Canada doesn't place priority on their military at all.
Because they don't give a shit about helping us. They're not allies. They're not our friends. They're neighbors. But that's it. Not my friend.
Do we have any friends in your mind?
Not nationally, no. Why would any nationality consider us friends? Now, people
France
can be
helped us out before.
friends. Countries cannot be friends.
I wouldn't put the friendship label on there. I said ally, and then you said
Okay.
no. I don't like
Yeah,
that
no,
word.
we're definitely not allies.
I don't like the word friend, and so
Yeah,
we're
I don't like that word either. That's why I asked that. But we're definitely not allies. If Canada was our ally, why didn't they back us up with troops and material?
they have to an extent, but not what we would.
Why
wish
do they
for.
have massive tariffs on goods that go into Canada from our side? If they're our friends, if they're our allies, if they're our buddies, our neighbors to the north. We don't tax their goods as high as they tax us by any means.
Well, you make a good point.
Yeah, because I pay attention to things.
Want to get up here?
Same thing with Mexico. Mexico's not our friend. Mexico's our sworn enemy. I mean, I can't
I don't
believe
think
that.
Mexico's our friend, but
Yeah,
I
Mexico's our
realized
sworn
that
enemy.
one of the things
They-
Trump had planned with them was to supposedly pay them off to quit sending to keep their own immigrants.
Mexico is so much our enemy that they used to and probably still do send their mentally insane and criminals across our border on purpose. They
I never
literally
claimed they were friends.
aimed them at us. And not only that, do you not remember the Million Man March from like Venezuela or wherever the fuck it was from South America, that they actually gave food, put them on trucks, drove them right through Mexico all the way to the border. Do you remember that a few years ago?
It's hazy, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't ever fucking forget that shit. So fuck Mexico. I'm actually really surprised we haven't annexed Mexico, to be honest with you. But
No, don't make no mistake. I don't think we're little buddies or allies or any other word that is positive with Mexico. I think we act as enemies.
I think that
But
we need to
Canada,
act. So I think that at best, neighboring countries are neighboring countries. We can treat each other with respect. We can treat each other with some measure of kindness, but that's the end of it. That's it.
I bet that's how you treat people too. That's kind of off course, but I bet that's your philosophy for people
Mhm.
and countries.
Yeah, it is. I don't see any problem with clear, definitive lines of you're my friend, you're an acquaintance, and understanding the difference between the two. A friend, I have like 3 friends. An argument can be made I only really have 1, but we'll just say 3 for the hell of it. Those friends, if they called right now, I would close this stream, get in my car, and drive across country to help them. Everybody else can wait in fucking line. That's the way it is. And I think that most people should be that way. I think that we as Americans have this chip on our shoulder that we are going to solve everybody's fucking problem. And it's not our job. It's not who we are. It's not what we do. We barely can solve our problems. And for some maniacal reason, we have the audacity to think that we can solve the world's problems.
I agree. I
So
have
thank you.
no retort because I think we're idealists at heart, and we feel like we've we've immigrated to this country from Europe after rejection and built the infrastructure and been successful, started a capitalist country. But then everybody says, well, we had to work hard and travel, and people died on the way, and we earned this, and we're proud of it. So there's some sense of a moral Christian obligation to help other people. It's woven throughout Western mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, stand by. That's my wife. Sorry about that. My wife was wondering where my son was. And I said, I don't know. He's either walking the dog or he's in the garage playing with stuff. So,
Well, if anyone else wants to get up, be my guest. I'm going to let myself
well,
down.
it was great having you up. You'll have to come up again. I hope I didn't
I
abuse
will.
you too much. It was a really
It's
great
absolutely
conversation.
interesting having a conversation with somebody who thinks differently than I do. So I'm not offended at anything. It's just
So,
simply
how
interesting.
would you categorize your point of view?
Political point of view, or
Yeah,
what?
political. Are you a feminist? Are you
No,
anti-feminist? Are
not a
you?
feminist. I'm okay with male hegemony to a certain extent.
Hmm.
I believe we are different and not equal, because that is the reality of the situation, whether we like it or not. Um, I would like to believe less in fairy tales and more in reality, but often have a problem with that. So I am science based. I want to keep an open mind. I don't mind changing my mind, but it's not easy. So I believe I would call myself somewhat of a centrist, but definitely not a communist or into some kind of autocracy or anything leaning so rigid. But I'm not going to be advocating for the transsexual librarian to read stories to 5-year-olds either.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed a lot of it, and I this is usually where I say, well, I really hope I didn't offend you, because I know I offend people a lot because of my delivery.
You have a different personality type than I do. Everybody's different. That's what to keep in mind.
Yeah. I don't really have much. First of all, I don't have much of a filter, so if I think it, I pretty much say it. And I've watched people live in delusion for a very long time. And I never did. I always saw things pretty much exactly how they are. And it's interesting how people will talk about each other in ways that are not actually based in reality at all, right? Like it's some weird kind of what if, I wish it were, or any of those kind of things. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I just think there's a lot of idealism that goes on and things that we want to hear, we want to believe. But
Mhm.
the truth is, it's not that way, and it's not ever going to be that way, possibly. Or we have to deal in the present, and it isn't that way. So, how can you make wise decisions based on lies or euphemisms or
Mhm.
soft, stances when you need to be as educated as you possibly can be to look at all of your decisions and make the right one? Still, then it's a risk, and you don't even know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, no, that's a solid point. Do you I hesitate to ask, but how old are you? What demographic are you?
I would never tell my age.
Okay.
I'm not old, but I'm not young.
Okay. 30-ish.
Why? Why does the age matter so much here?
I'm just trying to get an idea of what kind of where you fall in the pattern of life, right? Um, it doesn't matter.
Your master's degree?
You have a
Parents,
master?
yeah, parents are teachers. One's high
Okay.
school teacher, one was a professor and a dean.
Okay.
Education is important in our family,
Uh-huh.
military family,
Are you using your master's degree?
to an extent, yes.
Okay.
And the small business that I have, I was
Mm,
using it a lot in that, but
okay.
it's in an area that people would joke about and say, how can you point out and tell when somebody is a liberal arts major, and the joke is that, well, they're delivering pizzas. That's how you know. But I did incorporate a lot of what I learned,
Okay.
a lot, and I incorporate it into everyday living as well as my career and the things that I've done.
That's interesting. And you don't have to answer any of this stuff. You can always just say, I don't want to deal with that. But I'm curious. My experience in college was it was a complete waste of my time, because it really didn't prepare me for any of the things I actually ended up doing. Um, and I would have been better served going right into the workforce and just reading a lot, right? But I didn't get a master. I did not get a master's. I didn't. I did. I got. I did a double major, so I got a batch. I got two bachelors, I guess. But I didn't really.
What?
I didn't really. I don't really. I see a lot more people like me than people like yourself. Like, and I have friends. I have a friend of mine who's got a. He went. He had I know he had a bachelor's in biology, and then he did a second degree in biology. It might have been a master's. I don't remember. But and his whole career was in laboratory work. So sure, that helped him out. That was perfect.
Yeah,
But
I think you're the more common type, if you will, which is,
right.
I majored in whatever it was, electrical engineering, and now I'm a plumber or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm curious, because you've obviously been in school since I have. Just if you get that same idea that people are wasting a lot of time and money and going into debt and making potentially bad relationship choices and things like that in college, whereas if they just went out into and maybe you have some friends that have done this, that other people have just gone out into the world, or they went into the military and they got training, or they had they went into a job where they got some other training, and they maybe are ahead of or even with the people who went to college. I'm just trying to get I'm not trying to lead you, by the way. It sounded leading. I'm really not trying to lead you there. I'm just kind of I'm trying to get a sense of what you've seen, because you've been in college a lot more recently than I have been.
Sense of what I've seen. Mostly the people I know that have gone to college are more successful than the people who didn't go and get paid more. But that doesn't mean that they're happier. And
Interesting.
I believe that the ones that make the most money have started their own businesses. But I did go to school with in a nice area with a lot of doctors and lawyers' kids. And so the parents do really matter. Like, I was expected to go to college. Their parents expected them to be somebody or do whatever. And a lot of them were, jerks, messing around, throwing books at people and talking about that girl's a hoe or this and that. But then they go and they go to college, so they become women and men, and they're actually pretty successful. I think everybody in their 20s is going to make a bunch of stupid mistakes. One way to avoid that would be to choose a very versatile major like business, because you could take that anywhere. You could do so many things with that. Whereas if you major in English, there's only a certain amount of things you can do with that, or math.
Right, right. I guess Vengeful Truther thinks there's room to move as a bikini barista. Probably true. Probably true. I will see your bikini barista and raise you. There's a restaurant in Colorado where all of the waitresses carry firearms in holsters. So you're being waited on by armed ladies.
Has that replaced Hooters?
Shooters instead of Hooters?
Shooters, my bad. Yeah,
Yeah, it could be.
that's
I don't
good.
know.
That's a good name.
I just thought I'd throw that out there. So the
It
bikini
sounds like
barista.
a Kentucky dream.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even a lot of people without the degrees that we're talking about here have been completely successful.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's
I
just hard.
saw. Go ahead.
Saw Glenn.
I'm sorry.
Were you talking to Glenn?
No, I wasn't. I was gonna ask something, and then I interrupted you, and I said, "Go ahead."
Oh, I was curious
Mm-hmm.
as to why you
Oh, stand by
were
1 second. We have a
okay.
TTS coming through.
Wrongful Rage donated $19.99. Super chat. I didn't graduate, I had reasons, still I make money enough. It's about skill set and willingness to do hard work.
Yeah.
Gone from the dumps to my own ivory towers.
That's solid work, Wrongful Rage. I'm kind of in that same boat myself. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but it's fine. And now I lost my train of thought where I was going. But that's okay. That's okay.
I was going to ask you a question.
Okay.
I was curious as to why you kind of had the need to label me or understand me in certain facets with labels.
Well, I'm not trying to put you into boxes if that's what you're asking. I am. It helps me to kind of try and see things through the lens that you're using, and that's it. That there's nothing deeper than that.
What lens do you think I use versus?
Oh, I don't know you. I don't know you.
Right.
Basically, right as near as I can tell right now, you see things through a pretty analytical lens, but there's some emotion and some you want to see a good outcome. You would you kind of take the more positive slant if at all possible. It just seems like I'm not. And again, this is a very short conversation. You're asking me to.
But it's always interesting to see how other people see you, right?
Sure. Yeah, and
I
I
see your
ask
cut
people all the
drawing.
time how they see me. So, but yeah, I'm not. I think everybody gets labeled anyway, right? Like
Oh,
whether
yeah.
you want to be labeled or not. I'm not trying. I mean, at this moment, I'm not trying to put you in a box.
I'm
really
not offended. I'm not offended at all. I asked out of curiosity.
sure. But I think it's important to understand that I can if you're talking to me, and I think that this is something that I don't know if you do this already. It seems like you do, but maybe you don't do it. Maybe knowingly or really zone in on it. It's really important for me to try and understand the other person's worldview, at least a worldview they want to argue from or discuss things from, because then that tells me how receptive they're going to be to specific points. It kind of gives me an idea of what your rebuttal will be if I say a specific thing, or maybe I just should phrase it in a different way.
You always
Yeah.
want these little cheats.
I always cheat. Why would you not?
You want the body language and the ability to categorize,
Yeah.
anticipate, predict.
I will take every single advantage that I can get. And I don't understand why anybody else wouldn't want the same thing.
My analysis of you
Mm-hmm.
is that you're cold because you're cut and dry for whatever reason you need to be, and that you are very truth oriented, but your truths are negative. On the negative side, if I only had to pick glasses full or empty. And you are hard and stubborn. You are hard to convince otherwise. Very stubborn, but also very opinionated and strong in your own opinions and very knowledgeable. Now I'm thinking of something terrible to say about you, but I'm sure I'll get to know you more later, and
You
then
can
I can
say
come
all
on
kinds of things about
and
me.
say how awful.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I
welcome.
like talking to different people. They're interesting. You're very different from me, so to me, it's not like a good or bad thing. It's just,
Oh no, I think you're. I mean, you're right. First of all, I can be exceedingly funny, but in this specific um, in this specific conversation, I have been very cut and dried because we're discussing very cut and dried things, and we were discussing it in a very cut and dried way. If we
yeah.
wanted to, I do enjoy a lot of times very esoteric arguments, but I will often take a contrarian position. I've admitted this many times. I will often take a contrarian position just to see if I can argue it as well as I can the position I would normally take.
Some of your examples are esoteric,
Oh yeah, I do.
but that's one of the fallacies. So you would lose the argument.
Yeah, I try to be. I try not to be. What's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know. I try not to be too emotional when I'm dealing with people, especially when I'm dealing with people I don't know. Right? I learned a
That's
long
what I
time.
would call cap on. I
I'm
think
sorry.
you do. I think I said that's what I would call cap on, because I think you do have that capacity to be emotional, probably particularly with family, of course,
Oh yeah.
or things that people say to you, but I think you would keep it hidden. Now that we're psychoanalyzing each other,
Yeah.
if you were upset, you'd have a poker face anyway, so it wouldn't be like people could tell.
Right. Well, it's an interesting deal. It's an interesting deal because, and I've said this before, so it's not like I'm revealing a big secret. I'm one of those people that really, truly do have the ability to love and hate in exact equal amounts. But most of the time, I'm just neutral. I'm just neutral. I mean,
You don't come across as ambivalent.
no, I didn't say ambivalent. I said I'm neutral.
Well,
Um,
I kind of equate the two.
mm,
Ambivalence with neutrality. Like,
eh,
because
ambivalent. Ambivalent to me would mean that I am a little bit flippant about not caring.
well, you just told me you shoot up a room full of people with an AK-47.
I did not say AK-47. You're putting
Okay,
words in my mouth.
a sawed-off
I
shotgun.
said that if I felt it was morally served, if it was a moral thing to do, I would have no problem with it.
I'm not sure you said morally.
I did.
But I'll have to listen to it again.
Now,
I mean, I can accept
it
morally.
would not be. I could not. It would have to be a
Protection.
moral or right position to do it.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't use AKs. AKs are horrible.
I'm in California. You can't have one anyway.
I was in California for a while. I was in Hayward, which is by the bay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad we sold the house there in 20, and I'm so glad. Yeah, it's an interest. California's interesting. I've been there. I've lived there a few times.
It's got
Is that to
a
say I
lot
have
of
a bipolar personality? No, I'm very even.
They called you bipolar.
No, Nayakis is having fun with me.
So now that we've labeled each other, yeah.
I'm not labeling anybody. I'm just trying to find the lens that you look through so that I can understand it.
I'm capable of looking through different lenses. Wouldn't you say you are?
Everybody has to be. You need to be. If you can't, that's what traps you. That's why that's why people can't argue things from different aspects. I think one of the key things when one of the key things I've always maintained, and I've done this, and I have no idea why I started doing it, because I wasn't a debater when I was younger, but I always wanted to be able both sides of the point equally well. So if I took the position that Canada is our friend, I need to be able to argue that Canada is our friend equally as well as I could argue that they're not our friend, and we shouldn't be involved with them more than necessary.
Yeah, I could see how you could argue either point. Because they did offer us oil at a discounted price, but on the other hand, they're not in any hurry to help us in Afghanistan or any of our other endeavors. But to me, I don't think
they charge us a lot of taxes.
I don't know. That would be a good argument, actually.
Yeah. Something interesting about Canada that I don't think a lot of people know is Canada, and which affects a lot of people, is building materials. Canada was selling us wood from their forests, which they had a lot of, and harvesting trees is something that they do on a large scale. And for a long time, we were getting a lot of material on the eastern seaboard from Canada. And at some point, they put a tax, they being the U.S. government, put a tax on lumber products coming in from Canada. So the Canadian mills actually just started buying mills in the southern U.S., Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina. And that worked okay. That was good. But then they looked even further south, and they actually figured out that it was cheaper for them to buy massive tracts of land in Brazil and raise pine there, and they get the straightest, highest quality pine boards faster and cheaper in Brazil than they do growing them in Louisiana. I mean, they still do, but it's not near the industry it was.
You can't blame them for efficiency.
Yeah, they've actually and the Canadians have done this specifically to get around the taxes that we put in place. So it's very interesting.
One more question before I take off. Just
Sure.
Curious about your thoughts on Trump saying he's going to buy Greenland because in possibly 30 years or so, it's going to be, viable for building, etc. After global warming.
I don't know. Again, I think a lot of it's rhetoric. I do think that. So we have a base in Iceland, and I cannot pronounce the name of the city there, Reykjavik or something like that. And we also have one, I think, at Thule, Iceland, I think. But I don't think we have one on Greenland. And I think that he's probably looking at putting some form of military installation on Greenland for some reason. I don't know. Who cares?
Is this more
for security?
Talking and not doing?
Well, I think it's probably been something that's been discussed as an extraneous thing. Ghost says that Greenland was mentioned for security. I believe that. Okay. Whether or not that he ever actually does it, or whether a lot of things, Trump can say that he's going to recommend this or that he wants to make this an item, but you understand that as president, Trump has no power to say that we're going to put a base on this island. He can't do that. He can say, Congress, we need to put in the budget to put a base on this island. And maybe it happens, maybe not. And so that's again, rhetoric, just rhetoric. So I think that it's probably something that I don't know, maybe needs to be done. Maybe it makes sense in some way. I don't know. I think that it's hard for me to it's hard for me to take any questions like, do you know Trump said that he was going to annex Canada and it was going to be the 51st state? Okay, that's awesome to say. I love that he said that. I absolutely really love to hear him say that because I think it's awesome. But
Well, that's something we didn't know. I just say we, I'm assuming, because you have that MAGA hat and you were very pro-Trump, pro-this,
well, this
pro-that.
isn't a MAGA hat.
So
This is a special hat. This is signed by Ted Nugent.
hey, one of a kind. Urgent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's one of like 500, but at any rate.
But see,
yeah,
when we would come to you with these kind of questions, everybody would think, yeah, he's a real Trump fan. I wonder what he has to say about this. But not much.
I mean, yeah, I just don't. I'm not going to speak for somebody that speaks for themselves. It's an interesting thing. It would be like me say. It would be like you going to John Mosman in the chat and say, you know, Grid One said that he was going to kick somebody's ass this morning. Do you think he'll do it? Mosman will be like, I have no fucking clue. Maybe. And that's kind of the same thing. The difference is that he is the president, and you know the rhetoric is interesting, but
It's a legit question, is it not, for somebody who
yeah, no, I think
made a stance on Trump?
I think it's a legit question, and I think that it's a what's the right turn of phrase here. It's a legit question. But I don't think it. But I think that it's like asking any other politician about their rhetoric. Like you don't know what they're going to say, and I don't believe. So the thing is that I find it interesting that no one believes politicians except when they're campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe them at any point. Like I don't believe that Trump is going to do half the things he says he's going to do. I hope that he does. If he does half of the things that he did in his first term, I'll be fucking super happy.
Well, then having a platform is a paradox, because if none of that even comes true, I mean, you're going to vote for somebody based on their platform, ideally, right?
No.
He's against this, or she's against that, or for
Do
this.
you honestly believe their platform? When in the last 50 years has someone campaigned on something and actually fucking did it?
Well, I think, and I'm not sure. I'm sure
I'm putting you on the
correct
spot.
me.
You don't have to answer. I'm just, it's more or less, it's kind of a rhetorical question because it's very rare, right?
I'm aware of that, but at least it gives you some idea of what their priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm gonna get down. It was good talking to you.
Okay, it was great talking to you. Feel free to jump up. Well, not jump. I mean, you can't jump up because you got to get the thing. But feel free to join the Discord, and otherwise we can always throw it in the chat like we did today.
Okay.
Mosman, I see you in the chat, buddy. Say welcome to Lindsay, who came up and was great. Oh, by the way, did you vote for Newsom because he was good looking?
No.
I heard a lot. So that I read this poll.
Stand him.
I read this poll that most of the people that voted for him were women, and the number one reason they gave was because he was good looking.
So you just did to me what I did to you. That's funny.
I'm really interested in that, right? Like,
Well,
I didn't know that. I didn't know if that's like a real thing. Oh, she's gone. Where'd she go? Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm really interested in that because somebody else and I were talking about that this morning. No, it was Trudeau. They were talking about how Trudeau got that it was speakeasy. He was talking about how his sister or somebody had said that she had voted for Trudeau because she liked his smile. I'm just curious. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, but you're a degenerate, Flow State. It's okay. We know. We understand you. She hates Newscomb, though. That's good. That's good. Lindsay, I hope you're. Oh, your answer is no. Okay. I didn't actually hear you. You like bounced off so quick. Yeah. You don't like Gavin? Flow State votes for tats. It's crazy. You don't like Gavin? I just found that to be an interesting thing. Like I read that and I was like, that's not true. And then this morning earlier, not on my show, Speakeasy was talking about how his sister voted for Trudeau because she liked his smile. Like, that's crazy. It's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah, Lindsay, it was a great conversation. You're welcome anytime. And you did very well. Too bad Michelle wasn't here. Michelle would have made that a lot better conversation, I think. But we'll see. Smoking Spaceman says we have no friends on the global stage. That's true. Everybody tries to stab us in the back. We're the schoolyard bully. The others are nice to our. I think he means to our faces. Of fear of nice to out of fear of negative recourse. Yeah, it's probably true. I agree with that. 5. I don't get the 5 reference. I must have missed something. Mosman, would you like to come up for a few minutes? Or did you say that you got some medical test done? If you're feeling okay, you're welcome to jump up. Flow State, you can too if you want. For a few minutes. And then I gotta roll out. I got meetings this afternoon. Yeah, Silvar, this is actually a real thing. And I have actually never really thought about it. But many people trust others because they think the other person looks trustworthy. That's probably true. Mosman, I sent you the link, I think. So you can just click that and come right on up. This teasing. All right, I'll hit your Discord, bruv. If I can fucking find you in here. It's been a great show today, guys. I'm really glad that Lindsay came out. Lindsay is very smart. She is very well read, and so good job, Lindsay. I slid all up in Flow State's DM. Yeah, everyone give W's in the chat for Lindsay. Lindsay did very well. And I just slid all up in Flow State's DMs. So, he'll be on in a second maybe. And I think I gave the link to Mosman. So Mosman, if you want, jump on up. But yeah, everybody throw a W out in the chat for Lindsay. Lindsay's a trooper. She did awesome. Sliding in DMs is the start of a slippery slope. It is. It's not a lie. Not a lie. You're 35 minutes behind the live. Sorry. Yeah, it's been a great stream, actually. Really good. Come on, Flo. Yeah. I actually don't expect Canadians, and no offense, Nick, I know you're out there. I don't really expect Canadians to understand much of anything beyond more government good. Those poor bastards gave up the fight a long time ago. Mosman, are you coming up or no? I sent you the link, right? Make sure I sent you the link. Well, fuck, maybe I didn't. Well, we'll fix that right now. I think Flow State got lost on his way to his dungeon. Oh, you're out and about? All right, cool. I sent you the link anyway. Oh, I'm very arrogant. I've been told that many times. I'm well aware. I'm well aware of most of my foibles. He's a federalite. Hey, John's on, and my man Flow State, the powdered dusty, and John Mosman. How are you, sir?
Just see, I'm a real head.
Am I echoing on anybody's end?
Sorry?
Am I echoing or anything like that? Because I'm on my phone.
No, it sounds great, man. Good job.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Good job.
And I probably sound great too because I'm a real podcaster now.
I saw you stepped up to the Shure M7B.
Nice, Flo. Nice.
Yeah, I have an M7B. I don't like it, but it's still a great mic.
This is the plus.
Probably even.
What do you have? What do you use?
I'm using this is a Rode Pod mic, something or the other. I really like all of the Rode stuff that I've used so far. Works great. I should go back. I should give the Shure another chance because I've gone back to the XLR. I was trying to use the Shure with the cloud lifter so I could run it through USB, and that sucked. So,
this one's run through USB.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mine did not like. I just didn't like it.
It's okay. Technology is hard for boomers.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, I still provide. It's embarrassing.
Even though I'm pretty sure that Grid is a Gen Xer.
I am an Xer. I am X.
Yeah, but as far as boomer as a derogatory slang, he counts.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm maximum.
I'm a millennial. I like that's so there's something just humiliating about saying you're a millennial. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It just has generally specific is in the chat. That's interesting.
It is interesting. I was trying to get him to rage quit his own stream last night. I don't know if he ever did. I quit sniping him.
Interesting. Hey, I got kind of called out on something that I apparently did on Sarah's stream one night. I don't know if you were there. but apparently I was rude to Speakeasy. I didn't think I don't remember being rude to anybody unusual or unusually rude to anybody.
Who called you out on that?
Oh, Speakeasy did. He was like, you were talking over me on Sarah's, or I skipped him, or I don't remember any of this. I'm like, maybe I did. I just don't remember it.
I don't recall it either. He's just very sensitive. He's got thin skin.
That's rough in a debate life.
It's rough on YouTube. It's amazing. It's weird because YouTube appeals to narcissistic people, but narcissistic people also have thin skin, right? So you kind of get the. It's like you're well suited for this and you're terribly suited for this at the same time.
Yeah, right. It's funny. It's funny because it's amazingly accurate.
Yeah.
Mosman.
Well, my only thing is that I love Speak, but he seems to do a lot of the same things he tends not to like other people to do.
Well, I think
that's a difficult thing for me sometimes.
Yeah, look, I like Speakeasy. I think he's a cool dude. I send him raids. No problem with Speak whatsoever. He was like last night. He's like, you've had a problem with me since the thing between me and Glenn, and I'm like, no, I haven't. I literally don't care. Like that's between you two. You're men. You deal with it.
Oh, you went up in there hot.
Well, that's because they were going to disrupt my podcast.
I'd call cap on that.
Don't fuck with me.
I'll fuck with you. I'll fuck with everybody. You know I will.
You do though. You know what? You would fuck with a rubber duck. Promise you.
Have fucked a rubber duck. Wait.
Well, we know where bird flu came from.
Look, I'll try anything twice.
Oh man. This show went fucking south.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a D-Gen. You got rid of a girl and you brought up a D-Gen.
Right. Yeah. She was doing well. Were you listening?
I just came in right at the very end, so I didn't really hear any of it.
She's doing really well. Yeah, she's
not a dummy.
No, But anyway, yeah.
GS, I do not have the V thing. I didn't get the V thing. And actually I opted my daughter out of the last round of Vs once I realized how easy it was to do in Kansas. Yeah, we were done with that then.
Oh, come on, Flo. We know that you probably watched Stephen Colbert dance with all those syringes and
all right.
Yes,
I got
to get my Fauci ouchie.
Each of us got an extra round. You know, if one's good, two is better. So
I have a buddy of mine that's still getting he gets every update or booster or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm like, and here's the thing though, he's like 80. I'm like, dude, you're like pushing the envelope.
That's gonna kill him. Yeah, that's gonna kill him.
Yeah. He's pushing the envelope for sure.
I gotta, and of course, they'll never trace it. Nobody will ever say what caused it, but you just can look at the timelines of it. Healthy, that thing, cancer dead, right? Like my grandpa just died from that shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I haven't been able to catch up with you since the other night when I roasted that dude over on Restless. So.
Which dude was that? Yeah, you were cooking somebody.
I can't remember his name. He did he wasn't. First of all, he wasn't cammed up, and he was running.
Oh, was it a chaotic truth or ruthless truth?
Ruthless truth. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He's
kind of a douche.
Yeah, he kept whining and complaining. I tried to move the subject like 3 times. I'm like, all right, we've talked enough about this. We get it. You don't like women. Let's move on. I get it. And let's move on to something else. Let's get a subject that's going. And he would just bring it right back. Yeah. I'm like,
Nightish, right. Don't you?
Huh?
Do you know Nightish?
Yeah.
God, it's probably about a month ago. I just brutalized this dude on Nightish's. He ended up paying like hundreds of dollars to get me and then Vic, who was on my side, get both of us kicked off Nightish's panel, and then I did a $5 or a $10 name change on him, and he rage quit over that. Instead of just paying to have it $10 more to have his name changed back, he tried to kind of leverage his past spending against Nightish and demanded that Nightish not honor the name change that I bought.
Mm.
It was good times, but yeah, he was playing power games and he lost.
Yeah, that's weird. I actually Nightish was drunk one night and he kept interrupting me and Andrew and Sarah, basically anybody on Sarah's panel. He would just start running, just get like diarrhea of the mouth, and we couldn't get him to shut up. And so I'm like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He's got to go away. And so I paid for him to get.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
He held on to that grudge for a minute, didn't he?
He might still be holding on to it. I don't know. I hadn't seen him since. So
yeah, you have. You saw him on my channel after that because he said something about it. But
oh yeah, he and I joked about it. Yeah. He and I joked about it. Yeah, I guess he has let go of it. Yeah.
Nightish is good people. The first time I met him, he asked me. So I was on Fight Club, which was Anton Daniels' old panel channel. But very first thing he asked me, I'm the only white guy. He goes, "Why do your people fuck farm animals?"
That's fucking awesome.
And I ignored it at first, because I was kind of talking to the whole group, and I just ignored his question. And then, like 2 minutes later, "Why do your people fuck farm animals?" I was like, "All right, you want to fight the white guy, don't you?"
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you respond back? I don't know. Why can't you guys swim in swimming pools?
I don't. So something that happens on all black panels is they'll try to bait you into responding racially, right?
Right.
So I did not take the bait at all. I don't remember how I responded, but no, it's just cool.
Did you catch any of the debate or so-called debate the other night, Monday night?
Where?
On the Reverie, the one that I was on. I restreamed it.
Oh, you know what? I dropped in for a second or two, but not a lot. I think
it was
I streamed
boring
it.
as fuck, wasn't it?
Well, I didn't stay around, so it must have been.
Well, I got in some good. So, especially my opening, I did pretty good, but I got in a couple of good jabs at the feminist who kept trying to bring everything back to abortion. And but other than that, it was kind of a boring conversation.
I think that I was streaming that same night, so I didn't really catch much of it.
Yeah,
or even enough to really assess it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. The Reverie has to get better, man. Like it has so much potential to be like really good. Well, we lost John. It has so much potential to be really good, but it just isn't. So, but Gibbs is he's got what he calls the debate Grand Prix, and his format's really cool. So it's two sets of debaters. So it'd be like you and me, and then Speakeasy versus Glenn or whatever. And so we would debate, and Glenn and Speakeasy would judge us to see who won. And then they would debate, and we would judge them to see who won. And there's audience interaction too, but it's like it's kind of the way that and this may actually be why Speakeasy's pissed off, is because I think I kind of compared it to Verbal Combat, is how it's such a concise format. It doesn't go all night. Like, you get like an hour for the debate. You get like a 7-minute opening statement, and 45 minutes of back and forth, and then 10 minutes to wrap up. And it's like an hour per debate, so it's done in a timely fashion. It's awesome.
Yeah, even when I was getting along with Easy or did, like that shit just goes too long. I never made it to the end of not one Verbal Combat ever, because
I made it to the end of one, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's like 12-hour stream followed by an 8-hour after party or some shit.
Yeah. He And you know, I really like the guy. I really do, and I like verbal. I really like going on verbal combat. The most annoying thing is that I can't be on verbal combat till like 4 a.m. I just can't do it, and I want to actually like I want to be there for the whole thing. I'd love to try and win one, but it's impossible because I can't. I finish up a 3-hour stream and then I jump on his stream for another 6 hours. Can't do it.
Right. Yeah, no. I don't know who can. And also, yeah, no, I'm trying not to talk shit.
I'm not talking shit about Speakeasy.
No, you're not, but I'm not a fan of Speakeasy, and so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I'm actually a little weirded out talking to you about it because I know that you and Speak don't really like get along.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. I can be objective about things. I think there's things he does well. I think there's things he doesn't do well.
Right.
But
yeah,
I don't know.
Man,
yeah.
I really wish that he would start early enough and finish. I wish that there was a clear path to finishing.
Well, it's a popularity contest that goes all night long.
Well, and that's actually the reason why I haven't been willing to get into it too much, because it is such a popularity contest that it's like it doesn't matter if you make the better debate half the time. It's just you can make the better argument and still lose. So yeah, which is, I mean, look, it's fine. I mean, I really enjoy. I really wish I could be on there more. I really do. It sucks that I can't, but it is what it is. You know, I can't make every show. I barely get to watch your shows now.
What?
A lot of times you're starting up either as I'm ending.
You don't catch you're not part of the replay crew grid. What in the fuck?
Dude, I know.
Yeah,
I suck, man. I suck. I'm sorry.
I do too. Part of the last few nights, it seems like I've had like 3 streams in one stream. Like I'll end it and I'll kick everybody off. But if I hang around and talk to the audience for like 5 minutes after the panel's been kicked off, everybody said bye, somebody saved the link and they'll come up, and it just sort of restarts the whole thing, which is kind of cool. You know, it segments out the show. But yeah.
I'm I like this debate Grand Prix format. I need to set aside some time to do it. But the first one was really cool.
I'm kind of disappointed that Alex from Playing with Fire and Andrew didn't debate.
We're supposed to do it Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that, honestly. I mean, I know that it's scheduled for Friday, but if you've had a week to get, he canceled because of equipment issues or audio issues or some shit. It took me 2 days to get this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he canceled. I don't know. Look, one of the first videos of Andrew that I watched was him destroying Alex, and Alex just repeating, "You're obfuscating. You're obfuscating. You're obfuscating. You're obfuscating. You're acting in bad faith. You're obfuscating." And it's and then like an hour later, I watched Andrew's Andrew's deal where he was like exposing them talking shit about him and about how they were, you know, supposedly friends, but look at what they did and you know all that. So that was like the first exposure I had. That was one of the first Andrew Wilson debate videos that I watched, and I thought that it looked really bad on Alex, and so
I missed all that. But when Andrew joined Sarah's panel the other day and they had their little clash, my God, is that like the energy in the room was like the first time a couple sees each other again after they've broken up, right? It's just hilarious.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy. So, are you going live tonight, or what are you doing today?
Oh, I'm sure I will. I don't know. I was up late last night, and I just woke up a little while ago, and then been on someone else's stream, and we're getting weather, so I'm gonna go like make sure that just shit's ready for snow and stuff because I like every goddamn time it rains, I have to go run around in the rain. Like, oh shit, I didn't know it was gonna rain. I gotta pick up my tools. Like I got, I'm one of those people. But I'm sure that I will do something tonight. It's not.
I don't know if I'm going to get back on tonight, but if I do, I'll check you out. And then I'll be on. So I have Rob Knorr on tomorrow night.
Okay.
So it's going to be a good show because I really like Rob a lot. I've been waiting to get an interview, get him on for an interview. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to him. I don't remember where I even saw him, but I have not watched a lot of his stuff. I am aware of him, and I was impressed enough with him when I saw him that I went and subscribed to him. But
yeah, he is, in my opinion, he's the best debater on the internet.
Woo! Don't let Andrew hear you.
Andrew said the same thing.
Really?
Andrew said that the reason that he does his mock debates with Rob Knorr is because Rob Knorr is that good.
Why is he that good?
It's the preparation. It's just the mentality. It's it's all of it. And we're going to find out tonight. I'm going to ask him, what makes him so good. What's his background? Because he's a nurse. He's a extended care nurse kind of guy. Not home hospice or whatever. He helps people.
Well, that's probably that job. I would assume allows him a lot of time to listen to things and do prep. Yeah,
read and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob is just like, he has I think he would be bigger on YouTube if he looked like Andrew. Like the only like downside is he looks like a harmless teddy bear guy. Right? Like he's just, he just doesn't look imposing.
He is kind of squishy.
Yeah, squishy. Right. Okay. It's fucking weird, man. But and Andrew said that he feels like that if Rob's image was a little different, and he has limited time, right? Like he has a real job. He can't always debate like.
He needs to quit that real job. That real job was holding him back.
Right, and it's also paying all of his bills.
Have faith in the Lord. Quit your job or get fired.
And but yeah, I like Rob a lot. Rob is like his debate style is super awesome. He endured 4 hours of Destiny rambling his ass off about the Jan 6 stuff, and then Destiny lasted less than 30 minutes of Rob questioning him before he rage quit.
He rage quit. That's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Destiny rage quit. I mean, and he hardcore rage quit.
All right, I'm gonna have to pay attention to Rob then, because that's.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob.
I could probably do a little bit more. I don't really prep for my debates.
Right.
I tend to engage topics that I already know something about or feel like I know something about. But after the debate where my partner rage quit against Jim Bob was talking on his stream about how the two of them, Jim Bob and who was that? No, John Patrick Harry or some.
DPH.
Yep. They
David Patrick Harry.
Yeah, their strategy was they did research and watched his shit, and they knew that I wasn't emotionally volatile, but their strategy was to attack Godless Engineer, my partner, and make him do what he did, which is of course good strategy. Yeah, it worked. It was great strategy. I'm sitting here going, damn, I need to probably engage that a little more than just show up and think I'm the shit and I know things.
I am the shit and I know things.
Which is how I move through life, but that doesn't necessarily win things.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. It's very so Rob Knorr debated Jim Bob in a position that he knew that he was going to lose, and still made Jim Bob had to work for the win. And that's impressive. Like, if you know that you have the weaker position and you just do it anyway, it's impressive if you can make the other guy say, "Man, I really had to work for that one." And yeah,
I'm gonna have to find that Destiny and Rob debate. That sounds like good shit.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
listened. I heard Destiny and Andrew actually debate that not too long ago,
Mhm.
and
So it was after that. So
Okay.
so Destiny and Andrew debated it, and Destiny kept maintaining that there was this magical judgment from the Colorado Supreme Court that deigned it an insurrection.
Yeah.
But what he
I-
didn't
I-
tell you, what he doesn't tell you is that they never defined what an insurrection was. And it was literally just a panel of 4 justices that said that if they could agree on a definition of insurrection, this would be an insurrection. So I know it when I see it, basically.
Right.
And but it wasn't a ruling, it wasn't anything, and it was really only to try and keep Trump off the ballot in Colorado. And his whole argument hinged on that. Well, Andrew was basically just making Destiny try and justify his reasoning behind believing it was an insurrection and defining the insurrection, and Destiny couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
Destiny kind of claimed that he won because Andrew never gave his own position. Destiny wanted to attack Andrew's position, but Andrew just kept saying, "I don't have a position. I'm agnostic. You need to explain to me why I should believe what you're telling me." Basically,
Yeah.
same thing he did with.
Why was I watched actually a decent chunk of that, and I remember thinking that I didn't think Andrew was losing, but I thought it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen out of him. Like, I felt like he should have been able to wipe this easily, but for some reason he wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I think that he wanted a clear victory and not a pretty victory. So
I don't think he got either of them.
right, exactly. I'm just saying. I think that's what
Yeah.
I mean. You'd have to ask him. I don't know. And then when with Rob did all of the research. He read literally everything Destiny's written about it. All of this stuff, and he actually went and read the actual documents from the Colorado Supreme Court, and that's when Destiny quit.
How long after Andrews was Rob's?
It's about a month. About a month, and Destiny lost it when Rob basically asked, "You didn't read the report?" And Destiny went, "Of course I read the fucking report. I fucking wrote 10,000 pages on this shit." And he just clicked off. It was fucking great. Because Rob literally had to endure 4 hours of Destiny rambling on and on and on about how Jan 6 was an insurrection before he could.
I think I just figured out why Andrew didn't resoundingly win that debate.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think it was a tag team effort.
No. Yeah. But yeah,
because I was sitting there listening to it going, stop arguing about what an insurrection is. It's a honeypot.
Yeah.
It was totally a honeypot, but
yeah. So
4 hours of coke jaw rattling.
That's right. That's right.
4 hours is a long time I mean, you got to hit another line every half an hour or so.
Destiny,
right? Grid knows all about that.
Yeah, I know all about what.
How you have to do another line of coke every half an hour or so.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I've never done drugs, man.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I had a malcontent suggest that he heard me snorting or something on my stream, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, fucking idiot. That's that's fun. Yeah, I'm cammed up like all the time. Like I never hide. But anyway, the whole deal about the debate the other night, or not debate, but the panel the other night on Wrestlers was, I forget who, but somebody asked me about why I went so hard on that guy, and I'm like, well, he wasn't cammed up. I seem to go a lot harder on people that aren't cammed up or who are hiding their face, because I consider it like it's disrespectful. Like if you're gonna argue with me, cam up.
I think it's cowardly.
Yeah,
I would never have thought of disrespect. I think it is cowardly though. A lot of people try to hide on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true too.
Which doesn't really work well, not for long. If you get any sort of traction, people are going to figure out who you are.
Yeah,
that's why I never worry too much. Like I don't try to put my personal shit out there because kids and stuff. But I don't. I've been doxxed. I'm not worried about being doxxed. It's gonna happen. And if I didn't think that it was something I could handle, I wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah. Well, that only makes sense, right? Like we can't really. I just really can't engage with somebody that's not going to be honest enough to show his face, right? I don't buy it.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason that I never I didn't really come around the panelverse until I was off probation and not employed, at a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like at this point in my life, any of you guys can get as mad as you want. There's not a lot of shots you can fire at me. People can't talk to my probation officer. They can't contact my employer. They can, because when you put yourself in front of the whole world, the internet's the perfect place for weak people.
I kind of wonder if it's why less people just don't take as many because like I've seen people take shots at Glenn, at Easy, at all of these other people, and they just don't really. Maybe they look at trying to taking shots at me, but what are you going to do? I mean,
you don't. There's not a lot of juice in that squeeze there. I spent some time taking shots at you, and you don't give a lot of loosh back.
That's true. I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It gets kind of boring.
I will give you credit though. Some of the shit you did is pretty fucking funny. So I give you credit for that. I went back and looked at some of it. Not all of it, obviously. I don't have decades to wade through all that shit. But but I did look at several of the clips you made, and they're pretty fucking funny. Got to be honest. So
yeah, I'm pretty dangerous with the shorts and stuff. That's what God Speakeasy is so mad about some of the shorts I made about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones I got him real good with those.
Who's that?
They're huge. Speakeasy. I made some hit shorts on Speakeasy a while back, and they were very well done. They got a lot of views actually, to where people are commenting that have no idea who he or I are. Right? Like they kind of hit the.
Oh, it hit mainstream.
Yeah.
Dang.
A couple of them.
Respect, bro.
I mean, it wasn't like Hawk Tua or anything, but they got enough traction that I was having to go to the comment section and explain like da 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 da. Like people just didn't know who either of us were at all.
I'm actually I don't know, man. I can't even think of anything I've done to upset Speak at all, and apparently I have done something. So hopefully he'll tell me. But I told him, I'm like, dude, DMs are open. If you think there's something that I did that pissed you off, man, just let me know. We'll squash it. It's not a big deal to me.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you that he doesn't like people engaging with people he doesn't like. Right? Like me here right now probably is upsetting to him. And Glenn and I both had fallouts with him for the same reason, which was we'd have a panel and somebody would be up there that he didn't like, and he'd come rushing in and shit all over the whole conversation and basically almost demand that person not be allowed to be here because, and it's always the same thing. He goes, they talked about my kids. He takes his kids as a concept and holds it up and says, look, they talked about them. And it's just, at some point it's like, man,
Yeah.
stop with that. So anyways, yeah, it'd be great if he would just address it the way that you suggested, but I don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. First of all, I just don't. I try not to get involved, right? Like, although the beefing and whether it's real or whether it's manufactured or it's thought drama or whatever, I don't care.
You got to transmute that shit. There's trash out here on the internet, and there's trash down there in the chat section of any show is really, that's the brutal spot. Commenters are brutal. But yeah, I try to transmute things. People are going to interact in our lives how they interact, right? Like I'm not stupid enough to think that I can control somebody else's presentation or behavior.
Sure.
All I can do is decide how to react to it. And if somebody like Easy's going to be out, being a pissy scumbag, I'm going to transmute that into something funny. Make some good shorts.
What is this? Not take shots at Easy, man.
Okay, we won't take shots at Easy. You're right.
All right.
But my shorts are really funny.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, it was, to me, it was a small thing. Like, I came on a panel last night. I'd finished up the show. I rated Torsia and she rated Speakeasy, which I should have just rated Easy directly, because she literally rated him in like 3 minutes after my guy showed up. So I'm like, oh, I'm on Speakeasy's deal. So I jump backstage. He lets me up, and they're talking about gun control, and he's talking about it like, wants a national registry to keep track of all, who has water. I don't know. I actually I only heard about half of it because I was in the chat, and then I clicked on to come onto the panel, and obviously the audio, I get both audio. So I muted it. I came in, and I'm like, who's a fan of gun control? Hitler. Hitler was a great fan of gun control, and he used it to confiscate weapons. And Easy out of the gate went off. He's like, so you're calling me Hitler? And I'm like, you said it. I didn't. I didn't.
Right.
I'm not calling you by anything. I'm just saying, but he literally took it like I was calling him Hitler. Like, I'm not calling you Hitler. I mean, people call me Hitler before. I don't care. Whatever. Call me whatever you want. Just, don't call me late for dinner. That's all. And, and then he was like, well, you're talking over me. What? And then he's like, well, you're asking me all these questions. He asked me a question, which I answered with a question of asking to see where his knowledge lay. Right. So I forget what he asked me, but I'm like, or no, he asked me, do I think that everyone should be made to have a gun? Should it be a requirement that everybody have a gun? And I said, absolutely. Kennesaw, Georgia. I always say Kennesaw for some reason. Kennesaw, Georgia mandates that the head of household and every household have a firearm for protection. There are some exceptions to that. If you're mentally handicapped, you're a felon, whatever. And it's not, the law is not technically enforced. Maybe it should be, but the law does exist there, right? Like, I'm not wrong that. And he's like, well, see, it doesn't matter because it's not enforced. Might exist. I believe in it. So, and then he went on and on about how I just jumped in the conversation without and I jumped in without really knowing anything, but that's half of us when we join a debate, right? Like, I didn't think anything about it. And I honestly didn't think I was being that hard on him. I came in a little hot, right? Like I tend to, but I didn't think I went out of, and really, I don't think anybody else, in all honesty, thought I came in that hot. But
it's just a manipulation tactic. Like there's someone else who you probably don't know him, Access Rap Blood. I jumped on his panel the other day because he, I go around and I leave the horns in people's chat section, right? It's just a way of saying hi, stop by, show support, whatever. But I did that in his stream. He's got like 10 people watching, and that's a big stream for him. but he started doing the same thing. Like, what? Why are you here? Why should I let you be here? You were rude to me. And it's just a way of like putting somebody in a defensive, and it's nonsense.
Yeah. I don't know. Mikey Ball was there. I mean, he can have an opinion on it. I don't think I did anything that wrong or bad. And he started in like I've been after him, or I've been kind of sliding him since the thing with him and Glenn. And I'm like, I don't have anything to do with you and Glenn. I really don't give a fuck. You're grown ass men. I come over here, he doesn't get pissed. I go over there, you shouldn't get pissed. I mean, whatever. You know, like I'm not involved in that shit. I told him just like I told him, I said, I've told Glenn just like I'll tell you. You guys are grown ass men. You should work it out. You don't want to. It's not my place to say anything more than that, right? And that's kind of where I thought it was being really fair, to be honest with you. But maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was being.
I think that is reasonable. I think that's like honestly the most reasonable position of all is to be like, and that's typically the one like when two people are fighting. That's typically where I try to say which is. I'm not involved unless somebody makes me involved. And generally the person who makes me get involved in their beef is the one that's not going to want me involved anymore after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's, again, Glenn has, as near as I can tell, Glenn's let it go. Like he doesn't give a fuck. He's got too much else going on. He's got, the shit with Pearl. He's got an acting gig. He's working in a film. He's trying to do his show, which I don't know how the fuck that even works. But for Glenn, I don't think he gives a fuck about any of the Easy drama anymore, right? But Easy does, and I don't know. Maybe he's just sensitive about it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hopefully he reaches out to me. Mikey Ball. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any reason for me to get mad. I kept telling him, look, I'm not mad at you, dude. I'm not angry at you. And this morning I went on and he was still streaming. We went on and I talked to Easy and I'm like, hey, don't ever take anything I say. If we're debating and we're arguing, don't ever take anything I say personally because it's all part of the show. Like I don't really not like, if I don't like you, I will literally flat tell you I don't like you. But there's no reason why you and I can't have an argument. I can't call you 4 different kinds of motherfucker and you'd be pissed about it. Like there's no reason for that, right? Like
yeah, you can tell when an insult or a name called is personal and when it's just sort of rhetorical.
Yeah,
at least I can.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see where there's any like there was no. I didn't think I don't have any animosity towards Speakeasy. Dude, I still send him raids. Like I'm still, he doesn't send me raids, he doesn't, and as a matter of fact, the more I think about it, the less I kind of care, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Imperious, I'm about to sign off, bro. I'm actually long by about 30 minutes because I've been sitting up here bullshitting with
Imperious. Imperious keeps getting 24-hour timeouts on my channel because he will not stop being a fucking creeper to the girls in the comments.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah,
we should give him
I actually have. So I've had a couple of females reach out to me behind the scenes and tell me that there were things in the chat or there were things being said in the chat that made them feel uncomfortable. They didn't really want to be in the chat. It wasn't Imperious. I know exactly who it was. And so I've kind of tried to make some changes there. And, it's, but we'll see. Well,
yeah,
I want female viewers to feel like they can say anything they want to say.
Same. I want them to be comfortable being around. I want them on panels. I want them camed up. What I don't want is an echo chamber full of angry incels talking shit on women because they're mad that they don't get any.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I'm in that same boat. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't do that. You're gonna love my subject, by the way, on Monday. No, pardon me. Saturday night's chill stream is why, or is talking about sex, intimacy, and romance degenerate.
Okay,
that's our chill stream for Saturday night.
I almost like I'm resisting engaging the topic right now.
right. I know this one's great for you. Yeah. So spread the word, man. We'll have a great show.
Yeah. I'll try to remember to be there for sure.
Yeah.
That does have my interest. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to go. I'm actually over time, and I'm sorry, I got to get out of here. I'm
getting ready to have some peanut butter.
Yeah. Enjoy whichever flavor of pill that you like: red, blue, green, yellow, purple,
Oxycontin.
I don't care. There's the truth is there is no pill. Neo, there's no pill. There never was. And all you guys have a great rest of your day, man. It's going to be a good day. I can tell. It's sunny outside. It's not warm, but it's sunny outside. And we're going to have a great rest of the day, I'm sure. Flow State, thanks for being up here. To all the other guests that were on the day, really appreciate everybody dropping by. And now, enjoy this bit by Eddie Murphy, reminding you how evil women are.
If you marry somebody and neither one of you have anything and you build $300 million together, you deserve half. But Johnny was $300 million in when they met, and I'm quite sure she knew. And Johnny, hey, I'm Johnny. She was like, I know who you are, motherfucker. And they got married, broke up, shit didn't work out, and then he had to give $150 million of his money. And don't get me wrong, ladies, I know a lot of housewives sitting out there going, well, you can't put a price on what I do. But ladies, if you marry a man with $300 million, you ain't no regular housewife. You ain't got to clean the house no more. You get a maid. You ain't cleaning shit. You marry a man with $300 million, you ain't cooking no more. You eating out. You marry a man with $300 million, you know how a lot of housewives got to get jobs on the side to help make ends meet? He got $300 million, the ends are meeting like a motherfucker. What you gonna do, get a job at a boutique on the weekends and shit? Say, here, Johnny, I made $70. Put that with the rest. Now we have $300 million and $70 because I want to do my share. No. All you have to do, you marry a man with $300 million, is fuck your husband. That's it. That's your job. Fuck your husband. That's it. That's just fuck your husband. You fill out a W-2. They say, what you do? You say, I fuck my husband. That's it. And I've had my share of pussy. I have yet. Even if the pussy was great and sparks shot out the woman's ass and cannons bled and the mountains crumbled and the seas roared, no pussy is worth $150 million. No pussy. So be careful. Don't get caught in the trap. Any woman can get any man she wants. If she puts her mind and pussy to it, they can have you. Because they have figured us out. We're very easy creatures.